Mr. Mercer, would you please read a statement to bring us back into open session?
Yes, Chair Swaggart, I move that the record shows that the only items discussed in the closed meeting were those specifically cited in the motion to convene into the closed meeting and those lawfully exempted from statutory meeting requirements.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Lamonia. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Dr. Smith.
Motion carries with all board members present voting yes.
Dr. Cotton, do you have any items resulting from closed session?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I recommend the following administrative appointment for board approval. Dr. Angela L. Corporal Boyd from Administrative Substitute to Supervisor of Chesapeake Juvenile Services Educational Program.
Mr. Mercer has made a motion to approve the personnel matter. Mr. Lamonia has seconded. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Dr. Smith.
Motion carries with all board members present voting yes.
Dr. Cotton, do you have any additional items?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. The following individuals were selected to fill Assistant Principal 1 positions for the 23-24 school year. These appointments do not require board action, but I do want to announce them for the community and the public here. Mr. Anthony H. Otter, Social Studies teacher, Deep Creek Middle School, to Assistant Principal 1, Thurgood Marshall Elementary. Mr. Casey C. Smith, English teacher, Deep Creek High School, to Assistant Principal 1, Chesapeake Center for Student Success. And Mr. Shane C. Underwood, Special Education teacher, Western Branch High, to Assistant Principal 1, Deep Creek High.
Thank you. We will now move on to the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. At this time, I'd like to call upon Pastor Logan Brunson from Liberty Life Church Greenbrier campus, who will give the opening invocation. Afterward, I'll ask School Board Mike Lamonia to lead us in the pledge. Please stand as you are able.
Thank you. Let's pray. Dear God, we love you. And God, we just thank you so much for another beautiful day to worship you, to serve you. So God, we just want to pray over the proceedings of this meeting right now. God, we pray, God, that you would fill this place. God, we pray your Holy Spirit would fill this place. God, we pray, God, for civility. God, we pray, God, that you would just do what you do. God, that there would be peace in this room. There would be understanding in this room. God, we just want to pray for this upcoming school year. God, we pray for safety, God, for the schools in Chesapeake, Norfolk, Portsmouth, the surrounding areas. God, we pray for safety for the schools across this nation. God, we pray that your hand of protection would be over the schools, would be over the next generation of our country. God, we just thank you so much, God, for just, again, the ability to be here, to serve you. And so, God, we just want to pray for wisdom. God, again, in this meeting, God, this school year, God, we want to pray for wisdom for the faculty, the staff, the teachers, God, everyone who is in contact with the next generation here. God, we pray that you would give them wisdom, God, that you would give them grace and mercy, God, that they would just be overflowing with the fruit of the Spirit. God, we pray that you would move this year like you've never moved before in the school system. God, we just thank you so much for today. God, we thank you so much for your one and only Son, Jesus. God, we thank you so much for the fact that he came. God, he lived a perfect sinless life. And God, that you showed your love for us, that while we were still sinners, you sent your Son Jesus for us. God, we thank you so much for his perfect life. We thank you so much for his death on the cross. And God, we praise you endlessly for the resurrection that happened 3 days later. God, we pray that you would continue to make yourself known, God, to teachers, faculty, staff, and students this whole year. God, we love you. We thank you so much for today. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Brunson, for joining us this evening. There being no awards and recognitions this evening, we will move on to the hearing of citizens. During their allotted time, speakers should observe our rules of decorum and know that expressions of concerns and criticism on matters of school policy and operations is welcome. While the speaker's own comments are welcome, they may not play pre-recorded messages. Dr. Smith, are there any citizens who have requested time to speak this evening?
Yes, Madam Chair, we have 40 citizens requesting time to speak.
I want to thank those speakers who signed up to address the board this evening. There are two ways that citizens can request time to speak at the meeting. You can call the clerk's office before 12 noon the day of the meeting, or sign up to speak prior to the start of the meeting. All in-person requests to speak must be submitted to the deputy clerk 5 minutes prior to the published meeting start time. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to address the board. Once your allotted time is over, we ask that you promptly exit the podium. You may choose to sit in the boardroom if seats are available, but standing or sitting on the floor will not be permitted, and you may not block the exit doors. We would also like to ask that you refrain from any behavior that disrupts the meeting, including the use of profanity, applause, cheering, or jeering. Dr. Smith, please call the first speaker.
Yes, speakers will be called to the podium in numerical order, and I'd like to invite speaker number 1. Please state your name and city of residence before you begin.
Vic Nichols, Chesapeake. I'd like to honor Nichelle Buffalo and her mom. They make a difference in people's lives. So you don't have to be 7 feet tall to be a giant in someone's eyes. Tolerance works both ways for religion and those who don't have it. Rather than booting everybody out, how about we all get a piece of something and show people that we can all get along and we can all deal with things together. That's the whole premise of what America was. And notice I say was. Wanted to talk about getting back to some regular issues after all the things that have gone on. Well, we have a new study that showed that kids who scored worse on the NAEP missed the most school before the test. The rates of low-income 4th grade NAEP test takers who reported missing 3 or more days the month before taking the exam climbed from 22% in 2015 to 41% in 2022. For those who don't qualify for free and reduced price meals, the absenteeism rate in the month before taking the NAEP went from 15% to 29% in the same period. Chesapeake used to be really good about getting kids to either you go to juvie hall or you get to school. When are we going to do that again and really start enforcing that so we don't need 2 rows of cops here in our elementary? Second thing, since COVID is becoming an issue again in fall 2021 in 4 Massachusetts school districts with 18,000 children, researchers found 44 potential cases of in-school transmission, including 0 infections of teachers or other staff members. I spent several years up here trying to make sure we were looking at the data and not anything else. Let's make sure we do that again. Thank you.
Speaker number 2, it's your turn at the podium. Please state your name and city of residence before you begin.
Hi, my name is Jonathan Krause, Chesapeake, Virginia. I go to Butts Road Intermediate. I'm also a wrestler. I love wrestling. I love the hard work, discipline, and true grit it takes to become a wrestler. I know what kind of person wrestling prepares me to be, both on and off the mat. I wrestle for the Great Bridge Wrestling Club. At the end of the season, I also wrestled for Grassfield Wrestling Club. He goes to both clubs, you may be thinking? Yes, I do. My family has deep roots in this area and with the wrestling clubs here. My mom went to Great Bridge High School where she cheered at all of the wrestling state finals and still has a lot of pride being a Wildcat. Her brother, my uncle, wrestled for Great Bridge Middle School and he was undefeated his whole middle school career. He also wrestled for Grassfield High School, where his picture and stats are forever on the Grassfield High School wrestling room wall for making All-State. One day, my name will be on a wall in a wrestling room in Chesapeake. My name will be on a wall in a wrestling room in Chesapeake because I started in wrestling clubs. My name will be on a wall because the same exact coaches who helped coach my uncle into the wrestler he was and the man he is today are now my coaches. Last school year, I wrestled in 18 tournaments. It was my goal to be on the podium for all those tournaments. I made it on the podium for all besides one. This school year, it's my goal to be on the top of the podium for all those tournaments, but I need a wrestling room to do that. I need my coaches to do that. I need my teammates to do that. Me and my friends are from schools all throughout Chesapeake, and many are even homeschooled. We spend a lot of time with each other over the weekend at wrestling tournaments, and almost every week in the club. It's a bond of friendship I only have because of the wrestling clubs in Chesapeake. Please help us achieve our goals next year, and the next time we're standing before the school board is because we're being recognized as middle school city champion and high school state champion. Thank you for your time and careful consideration.
I know it's very tempting, and I'm impressed with this young gentleman as much as anybody in the room, but guys, we're going to have to hold applause in order to get through all 40 speakers, and we want to make sure everybody has a chance to be heard. So thank you, but we are going to have to keep the applause to just, the hands if you like. It's on.
He's stating that it's hard to hear back here. The volume's not up high enough. Sorry.
We'd like to ask speaker number 3. It's your turn at the podium. I'd also like to ask speaker number 4, if you're in the room, to please come to the front row. We have an empty seat for you in the front row, speaker number 4.
Aaron Turner, Chesapeake, Virginia. Growing up in Crestwood, my mother always wanted me to be a part of an after-school activity, so I began to try different sports. Out of all the different sports I tried, wrestling was the one I really fell in love with. That was one thing that could detract me from going down the wrong paths in my neighborhoods. Great Bridge Wrestling Club was a place where I could sharpen my skills and escape reality and focus entirely on my passion. Now, as a D1 college student, I recognized the importance of this club. When I walked into the club practice, I left all my problems at the door and I was able to focus entirely on wrestling and push myself to be the best version of myself. It was a place where I could feel in control. Without this outlet, I honestly don't know where I would be at. Not only did it serve as an outlet for me, but it also played a crucial role in my academic success. I was a decent student, but I wasn't exactly a straight A student. However, my dedication to wrestling taught me the valued life lessons that translated to the classroom. I learned the value of hard work and perseverance, and I applied those lessons to my studies. It was through my wrestling career that I decided to apply for colleges. Now I'm a wrestling at Morgan State University, which is also the only historically black college that has a wrestling team. The Great Bridge Youth Wrestling Club is more than a place where athletes train. It's a symbol of hope and perseverance for kids like me who need an outlet. This is where you chase dreams. This is where you chase goals. Ever since I started wrestling, my main goal is to become a state champion. I finally got the opportunity to wrestle in the state tournament my junior year, but I came up short and placed 5th. Great Bridge Youth Wrestling Club always taught me never to give up, though. The following year, I won the 4A Virginia State tournament as a senior. If we were to discontinue the usage of this facility, we would be taking away more than just a club. We would be taking away hope from kids like me who need it the most. It may be insignificant to some, but to kids who need an outlet, it means the world. I am proof that this club can make change.
Speaker number 4 appears to be a no-show. Speaker number 5, it's your turn at the podium. And if we have speaker number 6 in the room, I have a space in the front row for you.
Good evening. My name is Tracy Keller, and I'm a resident of Chesapeake. Board members and Dr. Cotton, as the CEO of the Girl Scout Council of Colonial Coast, I represent nearly 3,000 Girl Scouts living in Chesapeake. I am also a Chesapeake resident, a parent to 4 children, and a champion of Chesapeake Public Schools. I thank you for your time this evening to hear from those of us in the community who are concerned about continued access to school facilities. Girl Scouts and Chesapeake Public Schools have been partners in youth success for decades, and tonight I want to thank you for that and ask for that support to continue. Now more than ever, we as a community need to pool our resources to meet the needs of our youth. Organizations like ours, Serve Youth, are part of the solution. Your vision is to inspire, engage, and empower all learners to achieve their highest potential, and ours is very similar. We complement the indispensable work that educators do every day. Studies show that Girl Scouts are statistically linked to higher grades and positive behavioral engagement. In addition, Girl Scout badges are all correlated to state curriculum standards. In Girl Scouts, girls are exposed to STEM, entrepreneurship, life skills, financial literacy, and the outdoors, all in an all-girl safe, girl-led environment. Every experience and skill we offer helps girls be successful at school and in life. It is important to point out that we have long been recognized as an informal educational institution. Girl Scouts is one of a few national patriotic youth organizations that is federally chartered by the U.S. Congress, giving us the privilege of accessing schools that receive federal support. In addition, in 2016, the Commonwealth of Virginia took steps to support this through State Code 22.1-132. We encourage you to continue your partnership with Girl Scouts by ensuring access to school facilities for which for decades have been home to many of our troops. While we can appreciate and understand the need for regulations on access, our long-standing agreement for regular troop meeting space after school has been successful. Adding stipulations for application requirements and per usage fees would put an undue burden on family and troop finances, while also eliminating the opportunity for young girls to learn about giving back. For years, many of our troops have paid their rent through litter pickups, beautification projects, and school supply drives, just to name a few. Recently, a Girl Scout Gold Award project at Great Bridge Intermediate resulted in the addition of a butterfly garden to an outdoor learning environment, which supports the elementary science standards of learning. By ensuring building access, allowing us to distribute information, and facilitating Girl Scout representation at school functions, you help make a positive impact in girls' lives and sharing in our mission of building girls of courage, confidence, and character who make the world a better place. We urge you to continue to allow school building access without additional barriers. It truly is the only way that organizations like Girl Scouts can continue to complement the mission and meet the needs of youth. Thank you.
Speaker number 6, I'd like to invite you to the podium. If speaker number 7 is with us, we have space in the front row for you.
Good afternoon. My name is Dennis Bruin. I've been lucky enough to be a Chesapeake resident since we got here, stationed here in 2015. I'm an active duty match chief in the Navy and coach a wrestling team at Hickory Middle School, and have helped out at both the Hickory and Grassfield club programs. I know I only have 3 minutes and will do my best, but I just drove 4.5 hours from Smith Mountain Lake for the sole purpose of this, and then I'm going to drive back there to continue my vacation. I'm going to talk about two pieces, right? One of them is just clubs in general, and the other piece is wrestling specifically. No price can be put on the sense of feeling like you belong, or you're part of something bigger. I think the biggest thing the COVID pandemic taught us is that isolation was and is the largest contributor to our mental health crisis that we're facing in our youth today. I recently read a study published in the National Library of Medicine that supports a sharp increase in these mental health issues, specifically relating to anxiety, depression, loneliness, and stress. Children and adolescents with other disorders such as obesity or ADHD were specifically called out. Side note, my sport of wrestling will help both those very effectively. This has resulted in a generation lacking coping skills and doesn't know how to lean on a friend when they're in need. I see it in my line of work all too often with our post-pandemic sailors. If you think the ratio of mental health providers to patients is bad at a school, come see what it looks like on an aircraft carrier. I think this study and many others should support not only keeping clubs in our schools, but should steer us as parents and leaders into finding out how to get more clubs supported by the schools to get more kids involved. Now, I could talk to you for the next 3 hours about all the great things about the sport of wrestling. My wrestling background is not of the pedigree of a lot of these coaches in this room. I grew up in Southern California, was an above-average wrestler. I joined the Navy, and around 2008, we were stationed in Charleston, South Carolina. First thing I did, because I had realized what all the years of wrestling had taught me was far more than just simply knowing moves on a mat, and decided it was time to start giving back. So I helped coach school down in Charleston, South Carolina. In my sport, we accept everyone. We don't care if you're black, white, green, brown, doesn't matter. We don't care if you're male or female. I had last year during our season, I had one of the wrestlers very nervous before a match, like, hey, what's up, man? What are you nervous about? I'm wrestling a girl, coach. I've never wrestled a girl before. I said, you want to know the secret to beating a girl? He said, what? I said, you're not wrestling a girl, it's a wrestler. And you could see the light, light up in his head, like, holy cow, like, yeah, it's the same person over there. They're doing the same thing I'm doing. We don't care if you live in $1 million house or if your mom drove you to practice in a rusted out beater missing 3 or 4 hubcaps. Your parents can't get you there, we're going to pick you up. Somebody will get you there. You show up and work hard, you're one of us. You can lose every single match. If you show up, work hard enough, we'll move mountains to get you better. We have no cuts, and we're all better for it. Other than the fact that your kid's likely going to eat more than ever before, we are easily the cheapest sport to participate in while using schools' facilities. Thank you.
Speaker number 7, it's your turn at the podium. Speaker number 8, if you're with us, we have a space in the front row for you.
Holly Newcomb. I'm a 4th grader at Cedar Road Elementary. I wrestle for the Grassfield Grizzlies. Wrestling teaches youth, such as myself, valuable life lessons like hard work, responsibility, and dedication. Without a wrestling room, the club will close. Please do not take away this opportunity for all of us to grow. Thank you.
Speaker number 8, it's your turn at the podium. And speaker number 9, if you're in the room, would you please come to the front row?
Just wondering if I can get a couple of her minutes that she left on the table. So, hey, good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. I begin by expressing my sincere gratitude for your dedication and service to our community. Your commitment is commendable and greatly appreciated. I wasn't given much instruction on how to operate today. They said wear a red shirt, stay positive, and maybe tell of a time that wrestling was a good impact. Again, I'm here with Grassfield Wrestling. In case you couldn't tell, we're all wearing red shirts today. So allow me to introduce myself. My name is Chris Mendez. I am here to address the matter of conditional use of school facilities by exempt and non-exempt clubs and organizations. My goal tonight is to advocate for clubs that are not only benefiting the students directly, but are also supported by existing school staff and personnel and not interfering with the normal operations of schools. A little background on me. I'm a lifelong Chesapeake resident, grew up around here. I've been coaching for the past 10 years, everything you can mention, right? Your kid plays sports, I do it. Soccer, basketball, rec baseball, travel baseball, but most notably and recently wrestling. Wrestling will always hold a close spot in my heart. The adage of tough times don't last, but tough people do encapsulates the mentality of discipline and determination that I've used personally to propel me through both academics and my professional pursuits. So it's stories, right? We collect them throughout a lifetime. This is what we are. So let me go ahead and share one with you. Last year I had the privilege of serving as a assistant coach, school-sanctioned volunteer coach for a middle school program, where I not only worked with the middle school, but I also worked with the club. We had a young man that came through our program the year before who you could say struggled mightily, won a match or two. But he stuck with it. Came through all the summer practices, and the next season he came through with a renewed sense of vigor. This kid came in, he knew that he'd put the work in. And the results from that was an undefeated season and a city championship. Did we help that kid? Absolutely. But that story can be told time and time again across the city by coaches, teachers, and volunteers such as myself. So just transitioning to the issue at hand. Based on our understanding, prior reading of the policy took place where consideration of removing or charging outside clubs, non-exempt clubs, market price for rent of the facilities. And under this current classification system, these wrestling clubs would be qualified as that. Such a cost would be prohibitive to many of the local clubs in our communities who are already on a tight budget. This in turn would impede the enrichment that we bring to our community. The request. My humble request is this. Before any decisions are made regarding clubs' access to school facilities, I urge the board to devise a mechanism for reclassifying organizations such as ours. Organizations that are sponsored, do not interfere, and have real and tangible benefit. Thank you very much.
Speaker number 9, it's your turn at the podium. Please state your name and city of residence before you begin. Speaker number 10, if you're in the room, we have a space on the front row for you.
My name's Gary Forney Jr., resident of Chesapeake. Good evening, board members. I'm a current resident of Chesapeake, have been for over 20 years. I'm a Navy veteran, father of 3. My daughter attends Hugo Owen Middle School. I'm also Chesapeake Public Schools employee. I'm the founder and president of the 757 Mayor's Youth Organization. Our organization mission is to provide free activities and promote building confidence, athletic skills, physical fitness, mentorship, and so much more. I'm here to address our concerns about the proposed revision of the use of school facilities policy. This revision, as it is written, if approved, would effectively ban organizations like ours from using CPS facilities. I founded this organization in 2016, and over the last 7 years, we positively impacted the lives of over 200 kids and families. I can honestly say without access to CPS facilities, we'd cease to exist. Nonprofit youth organizations are typically run by volunteers, hardworking people that don't have government funding and consistent grants and donors. Let's talk about our alternatives to using CPS facilities. Parks. It is our experience that meeting in public places like parks is significantly less safe for the kids as they are exposed to unpredictable circumstances, whereas the schools have controlled access. Our kids have been exposed to smoke of all kinds, foul language, and even fights. Not to mention the inconsistency of the weather, making an inability to schedule events as parks are open to all. Private locations like churches and other businesses are either too expensive for a free program, too far away, or the facilities are damaged or poorly kept. For example, we've experienced leaky ceilings and wet floors. We need to remember that the members of these organizations that are being negatively affected by this revision are families, employees, and students of Chesapeake Public Schools. Some of these organizations will cease to exist if the revision policy passes, and our community will suffer because of it. Perhaps instead of eliminating this option for so many organizations that only seek to help the community, you all can come up with a way to address your concerns within the application process. Our kids deserve continued access to programs like the Mayor's Youth Organization. Thank you.
Speaker number 10, it's your turn at the podium. Please state your name and city of residence before you begin. And speaker number 11, if you're with us, we have space in the front row.
Keegan Hersey, Chesapeake. Good evening, everyone. My name is Keegan Hersey, and I'm a rising junior that wrestles for Hickory High School. School access is vital for outside clubs, especially wrestling. This is because while other clubs have locations to go to practice, wrestling clubs need the mat space that is provided by school, as not only is there nowhere else for us to practice, mats are very expensive. Wrestling is a mentally and physically challenging and strengthening sport. It allows kids to build important characteristics that this generation could use a lot more of. Wrestling is a hard sport, from cutting weight to being the only person you can blame. It's a sport that forces its competitors to be mentally strong, otherwise they won't succeed. Wrestlers need to have confidence, mental resilience, the ability to think and execute on the spot, and the ability to push past their mental limits in order to succeed. Qualities like this will not only benefit wrestlers in their sport, but throughout their whole life. Out of most sports, wrestling is one of, if not the most physically and mentally enduring and challenging sports that high school has to offer, from practicing from hours and hours upon end to drilling technique over and over. It encourages wrestlers to keep on working hard until you get that one move consistent. In the sport of wrestling, you have to overcome physical and mental obstacles and limits and push past those barriers, which teaches kids to work harder than they think that they're able to. Having middle schoolers and even elementary schoolers have this work ethic will not only impact their wrestling ability, but will impact their work ethic in school and even outside of school. Without wrestling clubs in Chesapeake, the future of our high school and even middle school wrestling clubs will be doomed. The elementary school is ultimately the face of every wrestling club, and if they aren't able to practice their abilities, they won't be able to succeed or compete in high school wrestling clubs or high school wrestling against other cities or states. Wrestling encourages the young men and women that do the sport to push past boundaries and become a stronger, more well-rounded person. And with restricting facility use to wrestling clubs across Chesapeake, the school board Chesapeake Public Schools is not supporting the qualities just described across young women and men that are greatly needed, especially this day and time. Thank you.
Speaker number 11, it's your turn at the podium. And speaker number 12, if you're in the room, I have space in the front row for you.
Joey Mitchiff, I'm a resident of Chesapeake. Greetings, school board members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Joey Mitchiff. I'm a Hickory High School graduate, as well as a current, as of Saturday, a sophomore at George Mason University. From the age of 4 through high school, I was a member of the Hickory Wrestling Club, and the effect that wrestling had on my life cannot be understated. From it, I gained discipline, resilience, and a hard work ethic. I learned the importance of self-reliance, but also teamwork. But more than anything, I gained a sense of brotherhood that, frankly, I think only wrestlers can understand. Speaking for myself and the brothers I made in that wrestling room, it is truly a bond that cannot be broken. This bond is not just made in season, but in the off-season practices with the club that allowed us to excel. It was the early mornings, lifting weights and conditioning on the beach, as well as the sweltering heat and bear crawls on the track. It was during COVID, when our season was regrettably canceled, we wrestled in a barn where the only heat that we gained was from us moving on the mats. None of this would have been possible without the off-season club that allowed us to excel and succeed during the season. It is also not lost on me that club fundraising did provide the Hickory wrestling team with uniforms as well as tournament fees to allow us to continue to compete. To close, I believe that not allowing clubs to use school facilities will be a severe detriment. I can only hope that you, the school board members that are in front of me, will use your best judgment and make the right decision. Thank you.
Speaker number 12, it's your turn at the podium. Please state your name and city of residence before you begin. And speaker number 13, we have space up front.
All right. Hey, good evening, everybody. My name is Ryan Mannon. I'm a Chesapeake resident. I'm going to pause from my prepared remarks real quick to just recognize the awesome and phenomenal work that the wrestlers have shown here tonight. Jonathan, nice job, man. That might be the first rehearsed, perfectly executed speech in the history of the Chesapeake School Board. Nice work, and everybody, thank you. I almost don't even have to go, but I've written a speech, so I might as well. All right, like I said, my name is Ryan Mann. I'm a Chesapeake resident. I have 3 wonderful children who attend Chesapeake Public Schools and participate in local youth sports. I have with me tonight my best bud, Connor, who with your support will about to enter his 3rd season of wrestling in just under a month. I'd like to begin by thanking you, the members of the school board, for allowing me to speak tonight on the issue of facility use by non-school affiliated or school-sponsored youth programs. I'd also like to thank those members with whom I've been able to speak personally to discuss this matter. I appreciate your support in ensuring that youth organizations across Chesapeake continue to have a place to practice and compete. Like the members of this board, I wear many hats. I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a member of this fantastic community, and an officer in the United States Navy. But I'm here speaking tonight because I also go by coach. Specifically, I'm the assistant coach and elementary chairperson for the Hickory Wrestling Club. As its name suggests, I coach boys and girls in the elementary school grades in the sport of wrestling. But the education and mentorship these children receive go far beyond the wrestling room. Thanks, bud. Our club's mission is to support Chesapeake student athletes in elementary, middle, and high school through the sport of wrestling and its disciplines of hard work, mental toughness, leadership, and character building. Our goal is to cultivate young men and women into the leaders of tomorrow. And it's that last end state that most worries me if we limit access to youth organizations. I think the vast majority of people in this room, both in front of me and behind, can think back to at least one coach, one teacher, or one mentor that helped shape us into who we are today. For me, he was actually my high school wrestling coach. The lessons I learned way back then have stayed with me, and now it's my time to give back. Give back to my son, Connor, who has come to love the sport of wrestling, and to the over 100 wrestlers we have in the Hickory Wrestling Program. And for much longer than I've been around the program, the coaches have been able to do just that. Fundamentally change the lives of children and guide them into becoming strong, resilient, and successful adults. So for that, we thank you. Thank you for allowing the Hickory Wrestling Club to use school facilities in the pursuit of bettering the lives of student athletes from this great community. Thank you for ensuring our athletes have a safe and accessible place to learn a sport they love. But we're not finished. I guess I am. Thank you. Can you say thanks?
Speaker number 13, it's your turn at the podium. Speaker number 14, if you were in the room, if you wouldn't mind coming to the front row.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for allowing me to come and speak with you. And what I am going to, and first, I guess I need to tell you that my name is Peggy Spires Froelich. I have been a resident of the city of Chesapeake for 64 years. When I retired with 30 years of law enforcement, and I became an SSO sub for our school systems, and I've been doing it for 8 years. I'm here to discuss our pay and to take you through a day of what we experience in our schools. And I am a sub, so I have subbed in 8 years in many, many different schools. We roughly have, we have 49 schools. My job is to break up fights. My job has been to sit in classrooms because the students have been so disrespectful that the teacher could not talk or teach, so someone else could teach. Might have if I put my glasses on. I walk outside. I do outside perimeter checks. I want to make sure doors are locked. Not only that, I want to make sure they're locked from the inside and that they're not only shut, but they're locked. Because you can shut a door, but it does not lock. And there's a lot of times I hit a door and it opens. And then we deal with parents. And being a sub, I don't always know all the parents. So when they come to the door and they ring our bell and I say, please say I see an ID, and they say, I'm in your system, let me in. I say, I'm sorry, you're in my system, but I need to have an ID. Well, by then, they're angry, so they turn around, they go to their car, and they get their ID if they have one. And then they come back and they say, here's my ID. And then I have to run them and put them through Raptor. I also have all of the security clearances. I have all of the certifications that a regular school security officer has. And I have to have that to stay certified. Then we get them through Raptor, and hopefully, eventually, they get on into where they need to go, the office, pick up their child, or so forth. That's pretty much my day, along with checking bathrooms. And I truly believe that every school in the city of Chesapeake needs a female and a male security officer to check bathrooms. It's a great place. When I was a kid, it was a great place to smoke. Now it's a great place to vape, smoke pot, do other things. So we do that essentially. Thank you so much. I will tell you I make $12 an hour, and we have 7 full-time subs.
Speaker number 14 appears to be a no-show. Speaker number 15, it's your turn at the podium. Please state your name and city of residence before you begin.
Hi, I'm Robin and a Chesapeake resident. Tonight is a crucial night as you as a school board are willing to vote again on whether or not to allow non-exempt clubs to meet in our schools. As you know, I've spoken against the dangers of allowing a Satan club to have any rights on our school property. My goal is not to shut down clubs, but to preserve the souls of our students. If we fear God and not man, God will work everything out, and He will provide places for these wholesome clubs to continue to meet. I'd like to thank Mrs. Dean for her leadership and her boldness to stand up for the innocent and to request this topic be put back on the action board to vote again tonight. With your individual votes, we pray God's will be done and that voting against non-exempt clubs meeting will indeed deliver us from evil. Those 2 lines came to me when I was thinking about the Lord's Prayer. Thy kingdom come and thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven, and to deliver us from evil. Please be willing to be humbled and to hear from God with your vote. Psalm 139 says, Search me, O God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. See if there is any offensive way in me, and lead in the way everlasting. You have been voted in to be on the school board for such a time as this. It is a great honor, yet it carries a great sense of responsibility. At this time when our country is becoming morally bankrupt, what will be said as to the part you played to turn the country back around? Fear God, not man. God will work everything out. In Ephesians 4, it says, do not give the devil a foothold. And foothold is also known as a place or an opportunity. In doing some research today, I learned the word for foothold or place literally means a physical location. B.M. Williams is a physical location. We are instructed not to give Satan any opportunity to influence our lives. And I'll also glean that we can think of our lives as a home. Giving the devil a foothold is like leaving a crack in our doors at night. B.N. Williams Cafeteria has a crack, but this crack can be mended by closing its door to the enemy. James 4:7 says, "Submit yourselves, resist the devil, and he will flee from you." By voting no tonight, the devil has to flee B.N. Williams School. Cracks unattended lead to larger cracks. Since the Satan Club has been allowed to meet, we've been seeing them try to gain even greater footholds in our community. Just this past week, they attempted to hold an after-school Satan Summer Club at Indian River Library. What will be next? Cracks lead to a larger crack and eventually erosion or structural damage, spiritually, physically, and emotionally in the lives of our children.
Speaker number 16, it's your turn at the podium. Please state your name and city of residence before you begin.
My name is Kathy Harrison, and I'm a Chesapeake resident, a retired physical education teacher, and I'm really impressed with the young people that are here tonight, and hopefully the new people on the board, not you, Reverend Mercer, but the new people on the board are getting an idea. I appreciate your testimony last time, too. I know I'm not supposed to speak to one person. I apologize. I can't help myself. I'm going to keep it brief. I'm probably going to yield most of my time. But what you're seeing is what the children have the opportunity to experience when people come into the building and spend their time with them, and the high value that it has. And I think when it was brought up that all the clubs needed to be informed that there's going to be a policy change, that's what you're seeing tonight. So it's very impressive, and it's our right to be here. But I'm going to yield my time, the rest of my time. My position hasn't changed. I think the policy should stay the same. It's going to be a hardship if you charge people. We've already paid for the school buildings. We're taxpayers. We already paid for the libraries. So we need to be able to use them. So that's all I have. Thanks.
Speaker number 17, it's your turn at the podium. Speaker number 18, if you're in the room, we have space on the front row for you.
Good evening. My name is Sarah Eason Williams. I live in Chesapeake, and I am here to encourage teachers. Teachers, enjoy your last few weeks of summer vacation. Although your vacation began sometime back in June, as quiet as it is kept, you never stop planning for or thinking about the upcoming year. Even while vacationing in your favorite spot or just sitting on the beach, as hard as you tried, your thoughts were never far from students who would become yours for at least 180 days. And so I say to you this evening, whatever it takes, do you. Take long walks, listen to your favorite tunes, eat good food, surround yourselves with good company, and laugh. Yes, there are certainly many professions that perform well in every aspect, but only you, teachers, are truly excellent. Thank you.
Speaker number 18, it's your turn at the podium. And speaker number 19, we have space in the front row for you.
Good evening. My name is Bill Devins, and I love Chesapeake. Let me recount the scenario that has taken place to illustrate how preposterous closing down the non-school affiliated after-school club program would be. Everything was going well here in Chesapeake until the Satan Club showed up. After-school clubs were providing positive, constructive activities to thousands of kids. Latchkey kids had somewhere to go. Kids did not need to be taxied anywhere to attend their activity. They just walked down the hall. Kids were happy and occupied. Parents were happy. Chesapeake flourished. Then one day, a Satan Club was established here in Chesapeake, with about a dozen kids attending. All of a sudden, the sky was falling. The sky was falling. The reaction, we need to do something, anything, to get rid of it. That reaction is exactly what the Satan Club was counting on. Their goal was to kill the Chesapeake Good News Club, and they did not care how many other clubs or kids they took down with it. This was extortion. The Satan Club was now holding the school board members potentially politically liable to the public for not closing down the Satan Club, regardless of the harm it did to the rest of the community. The school board played right into their hands with a proposal to end the after-school club program. It didn't matter that the lives of thousands of Chesapeake kids and their families would be detrimentally impacted by this change of policy. As long as the Chesapeake school system was cleansed of the Satan Club, the trade-off was justified, right? Please, thousands versus a dozen. How unfair and ridiculous does this sound to you? The arguments regarding safety and security and alternative facilities are in the noise. Our schools have operated safely and securely in the past. Why should that change? The forced use of alternative facilities will impose difficult travel burdens on families, resulting in far too many kids dropping out of their clubs and even some clubs closing. What we have here is a knee-jerk overreaction. For the sake of the kids and the families of Chesapeake, let's be reasonable and retain the tried, true, and successful old policy. At a minimum, give it a year and then decide whether cleansing the system of the Satan Club and its dozen attendees outweighs the benefit to the entire Chesapeake community of retaining the after-school club program. God bless you all, and thank you for hearing me out.
Speaker number 19, it's your turn at the podium. And speaker number 20, if you're in the room, we have space in the front row.
Good evening. My name is Wayne Martin. I'm a resident of Chesapeake for the past 37 years. I'm here tonight to talk about facility use and specifically non-exempt clubs' continued use of CPS facilities. I recently retired from Chesapeake Public Schools after 40 years of service. Over my last 23 years, I oversaw facility usage for Chesapeake Public Schools as a supervisor and then a director. Tonight, I'm here to speak in support of non-exempt clubs and their ability to continue to use CPS facilities. This past school year, 22-23, we had 39 clubs that fell into this specific category. When I was hired in 1983, I believed that this was a data-driven school division and believe that today. Now, what that means is policies, regulations, and administrative guidelines would not be changed unless it was in support of the needs of our students. Let's take a look at the data and the collateral damage that will result if you eliminate non-exempt clubs from CPS facilities. Last year, during the 22-23 school year, a majority of these groups came in and used our facilities at least once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks, and typically they were here 15 to 25 times on an average. The number of students and citizens of Chesapeake that participated in those groups was 4,660 individuals. Then we had individuals that only came into our schools one time. I'll refer to them as one-time use groups. Some of these groups were the American Cancer Society, Bay Youth Orchestra, the Tidewater Winds Concert Band, multiple dance studios which had their annual recitals, and numerous athletic youth organizations. This number was 8,580 individuals. When you add those up, that's 13,240 K through 12 students and citizens of Chesapeake that came in and were able to use our school facilities for after-school activities. Board members, when I look at that data, that just doesn't make sense. That it's even on the agenda for tonight. Earlier tonight, you heard Aaron Turner's story. Okay? Aaron's an example of hundreds or maybe thousands of graduates from Chesapeake Public Schools that benefited from participation in our non-exempt clubs. In closing, please do not eliminate the enrichment experiences that non-exempt clubs provide our students and our citizens of Chesapeake. This country and Chesapeake is still trying to recover from a pandemic. Our parents and students need these clubs to continue that healing process. Thank you for allowing me to share my perspective.
Speaker number 20, it's your turn at the podium. Please state your name and city of residence before you begin. And speaker number 21, we have a space in the front row for you.
Good evening, Mary Murphy, Chesapeake, Virginia. Good evening, Superintendent Cotton, school board members. Thank you for allowing me to speak again. You've received my emails. I've spoken before. This is always nerve-wracking, but once again, the Holy Spirit's propelling me to speak up and ask you to do whatever it takes to foster academic excellence and to prevent evil influences from entering Chesapeake Public School facilities and the children's minds and souls. Tolerance exposes the children to good, but also to not so good. And it's not, you can't mix the two and expect that the children will be able to ferret out what is their best course of action. I request that you allow only properly vetted school-sponsored organizations to engage students on our public school facilities. Teachers and educators must ensure by their sponsorship that time spent after the classes is an extension of the Chesapeake Public School mission. It's been stated many times the impact that COVID has had on the children's learning and their mental health and whatever. So we have other excellent facilities in our city to help. We have rec centers that are kind of underutilized. The Girl Scouts have a 2-story, a Place for Girls building. There's businesses that sponsor things in the school, for the school and whatever, and engaging the community is a positive thing. I see that as something that can come out of this. And the controversy of the after-school Satan Club, well, maybe that's a call to look at the data and how far behind the students, not only in Chesapeake, but in our country, have fallen behind academically. And that after-school programs should be those that enhance the Chesapeake Public School mission. Please don't keep controversial subjects in the dark, and please don't passively allow weeds to be sown in our children's minds and souls in the schools. Please don't let your fear of confrontation paralyze you from doing the right thing. The children and families and community need you to be leaders who provide the best academic resources in a safe, healthy, and moral environment. Thank you all.
Speaker number 21, it's your turn at the podium. Please state your name and city of residence before you begin.
Excuse me. Name is Brandon Turner. I'm a resident of Virginia Beach. Thou shalt not bear false witness. It's in your Bible. The basic instructions before leaving earth. Am I right? While I personally do not believe your holy book is the infallible word of an omnipotent God, you do. Now, we know for the most part, lying is not a positive thing, like being a scam artist or a grifter. But I don't need a book to tell me that. You do. Which is why I have a problem with the rhetoric and the propaganda being spewed by citizens of this city. You have representatives of an organization that has been sexually abusing children and harboring pedophiles for centuries being allowed to speak and accuse another group of indoctrinating and harming children with zero evidence. There is literally no proof of satanic cult ritual child sex abuse happening here in Chesapeake, the state of Virginia, or even the United States. What I do know is on June 27th of this year, David Lloyd Walter, pastor of Faith Baptist in Round Rock, Texas, was found guilty of possessing, purchasing, and selling child pornography. He had 100,000 pictures and 5,000 videos of child sex abuse. Derek Wallace Peacock, 39, youth pastor in Hopewell, Virginia, sentenced to 20 years in federal prison for distributing child pornography while on the sex offender registry from a previous offense. And the last one, from 2017, Gerald Lee Porter of Chesapeake, Virginia, a Bible school teacher for kindergartners at River Oak Church right here in Great Bridge, got 12 years for child pornography. Finding these 3 examples took me 5 minutes on Google, and there's a whole lot more. But what I couldn't find was a credible case of satanic ritual child abuse. Any case you find has been dropped or dismissed based on lack of evidence. 252 priests in the United States have been convicted of sex crimes. The Southern Baptist Convention has a list of over 700 pastors with credible accusations of assault from minors to married adults. That's 952 religious leaders, and not one of them is a Satanist. Bearing false witness. Your God says it's a no-no, but y'all seem real comfortable with it as long as it's used to harm someone you don't like. Whatever helps promote your church, right? Increase donations on Sunday? So in closing, if you really, truly cared about the kids, you'd protect them from the predators in your own backyard. And after-school programs, such as the After-School Satan Club, is a dang good start. Hail Satan.
Speaker number 22, it's your turn at the podium. Speaker number 23, if you're in the room, we have a space in the front row for you.
My name is Stephen Mannix, and I'm from Virginia Beach. I'm a proud graduate of Great Bridge High School when Wayne Martin was the wrestling coach. I have volunteered with Child Evangelism Fellowship for over 15 years now. Safety has been repeatedly mentioned as a concern. First, I checked with the superintendent, who was not aware of any safety incidences with any of these fine organizations. Second, CEF has been active for 15 years in 7 localities without any safety incident. Third, safety is always a reasoned balance. The school board has wisely decided to allow sports and recess to continue even though there are injuries every year. This is due to balance and safety with other benefits. It's also due to an incremental approach to improving as necessary versus a drastic reactional change. No one has mentioned specific safety incidences or demonstrated flawed safety practices with any of these groups. Therefore, I ask you to apply the same approach to safety you use for sports and recess to all these organizations as well. Impact on instructional time was also mentioned. These clubs function outside of instructional time after school clubs are dismissed at the end of the day. Any impact on instructional time, if any at all, is very minimal and drastically outweighed by the benefits of all of these groups. This brings to the suggestion that more school-sponsored clubs could be started to offset the loss of almost 40 clubs. Given the current staff shortages, I don't see how this is plausible or realistic. Since February, several board members mentioned clubs can meet in other places. In the last 6 months, nobody has stepped forward with a place and a viable transportation plan for Good News clubs. 6 months, 0. Despite the intentions of the members who passed the current regulations, no Good News clubs are being allowed to meet immediately after school. This implementation of the current rules has turned into a practical ban of the Good News Club, Girls on the Run, and all the other organizations who want to meet after school. So we are asking kindly that the board and the administration work together to remedy the implementation of this policy so that after-school clubs are no longer banned. Goal 4 of Chesapeake Public Schools states, engage, inform, and collaborate with the community. Removing almost 40 clubs is not collaboration or engagement. I'd like to close with the words of Jesus from Matthew's Gospel. Let the little children come, please. Thank you for your time and your service.
Speaker number 23, it's your turn at the podium. Please state your name and city of residence before you begin. And speaker number 24, we have space up front for you.
Good evening. I am Agnes Deneen Goodrich. I am the senior site pastor of the Mount at Western Branch. I am a citizen of Suffolk. And tonight I have heard a lot about schools and after-school programs, but I wanted to stand on behalf of churches who are also meeting in the schools as well. We have been at Western Branch High School since 2016, and of course we had the break during the pandemic. But we have since grown into a thriving church who is impacting our community. And because of the fact that we're able to operate out of the schools, we have seen the impact grow. We have just recently purchased a facility in February in Western Branch, which we are now under the process of renovating. This program works. When we're coming to the school, we're able to grow, we're able to develop, we're able to create impactful moments in our community. One of the things that we have been doing is, and our mantra is church is supposed to change lives. We have done a lot of volunteer opportunities, including feeding over 150 people in our community for Thanksgiving. We've given out back to school supplies in the Western Branch area, as well as in the Chesapeake Square Mall area, as well as Hoyt Acres area, where we gave out over 250 backpacks with school supplies that are filled. We provide support for extracurricular activities. We have fed the football team. We have sponsored the athletic end of the year awards program. We support the teachers, guidance counselors, and have held programs where we provide opportunities for the children to win gift cards. And so I just want to say, please continue to allow nonprofits, including churches, to continue to meet in the school. We should not allow one organization to have such an impact that others are not able to benefit from the ability to operate in the school systems. Understand that the Satanic group is seeking to counter evangelism in our schools, but I believe that they have a larger end game to their agenda. In my opinion, their goal is to eliminate all Christian clubs in public schools. And so I ask that you would support my viewpoint that we continue to allow school programs to continue so that we will not bend to their satanic agenda. Thank you.
Speaker number 24, it's your turn at the podium. And speaker number 25, if you'll come to the front row, we have a seat for you.
Yes, hello. My name is Catrice Krebs. I'm from Chesapeake, Virginia. I also had a son who did wrestle at Great Bridge Middle School many, many years ago. So I really hope that good organizations like that can continue to stay in our schools. But I'm standing before you again, urging you to vote no to allowing the after-school Satan Club in our public schools. This club is a blight on our beloved community and a black eye to the school board for supporting it. It is concerning to me that we would tolerate any expression of evil to exist, even at the erroneous belief that this is a freedom of speech. Satan is the father of lies, and by his very nature is unable to represent goodness of any kind. The sheer fact that children are being targeted by this group should send off alarm bells, recalling what Jesus Christ said about misleading children. It would be better for him to have a millstone hung around his neck and to be tossed into the sea. This verse was so important that it is included in all three synoptic gospels. I do not understand why the board has no problem allowing Satan to exist alongside God and goodness. I heard some of the board members, this was mostly from last month's meeting, say, and even some of our citizens say that this was freedom of speech. But we know there are situations when freedom of speech is actually a bad idea. Even if we can do something, it doesn't mean we should. Others use the gospel teaching of allowing the wheat and the tares to be raised up together. The misunderstanding here is that Jesus was comparing the kingdom of heaven to a field. He did not encourage allowing our children to tolerate, to participate in, or even mildly to enjoy evil as long as there is some good to draw out of it. If something or someone has an inclination towards evil, it should be avoided. You cannot pick and choose to look away from evil simply because some good may come out of it. In separating the good from the bad, Jesus said that you will know them by their fruits. So it's worth recalling that this past winter, members of the Satanic Temple said Satan was not real, that this club was not affiliated with the temple, and that the After School Satan Club was not religious. These are just some examples of the lies. In Boston, Massachusetts, the Satanic Temple had a Weekend of Blasphemy conference, which included workshops on how to turn an abortion into a satanic ritual, how to have a satanic marketplace, on baptism ceremonies, and a satanic wedding chapel. The IRS gave the Satanic Temple the same status as a church, with the same benefits as a religious organization, including tax exemption. So it sounds to me that we can agree that this group wants to identify as a religion. Thank you for all that you are doing to protect our children and to keep our schools safe and welcoming.
Speaker number 25, it's your turn at the podium. Speaker number 26, we have space up front for you if you're in the room.
Good evening. My name is Gina Koss. I live in Virginia Beach. I'm here to urge you to move away from providing rental space on school property for any outside activities. For over 7 months now, the topic of the Satanic Temple and its club has taken far too many resources. I encourage you to shift to academic, school-based activities and find ways to make that happen. I was curious about the activities and clubs offered to Chesapeake students, so I made some phone calls. I didn't call every primary, elementary, and intermediate school in Chesapeake, but I called enough, 28 in total. The superintendent would be glad to know that the schools picked up the phone and the personnel were very, very gracious. I asked what clubs or activities they had offered last year. Of the 28, 12 schools offered no activities, no academic, nothing. Other schools offered a variety, a light mix of school-sponsored and non-school sponsored activities. I would like to congratulate Deep Creek Elementary for offering the VEX IQ robotics competition, Deep Creek Central for offering 5th grade choir taught by the music teacher, Brookwood Elementary for offering a cooking club, Greenbrier Intermediate for offering Lego robotics and a basketball club, all by faculty and staff. But frankly, I was shocked to know that more academic based enrichment activities weren't offered by Chesapeake schools. 12, that's a lot, not having any activities, academic ones, or any activities. By contrast, I randomly called 3 Virginia Beach elementary schools, and the gist of those calls were, there are too many to name, can we email you the list? Just academic activities. I'll highlight one school. It was my second call randomly. It was Bird Neck Elementary, a Title I school. They offer STEM trifecta, Maker Expo, robotics, cyber coding, SCA, Voice of Tomorrow, led by a staff member. So I won't bother to share some of the other offerings of private schools, activities led by faculty and staff. Someone like Virginia Beach, there are just too many to name. Now you know what your competition is. Meanwhile, you are allowing the after-school Satan Club to meet. This is a PR nightmare. I encourage this board to work with the superintendent and school administrators to figure out ways to incentivize your very talented teachers here in Chesapeake and offer enrichment academic-based activities after the instructional day. This is what your students need to address overall academic achievement, especially in science. The students and their families deserve your efforts to successfully engage them in academics, not time and energy spent on figuring out ways to allow the Satanic Temple to operate in your facilities. Please vote to only allow school-sponsored groups to use academic space. Thank you.
Speaker number 26, it's your turn at the podium. Please state your name and city of residence before you begin. And speaker number 27, please come to the front row.
Good evening, members of the board. I'm David Cutchins. I'm a resident of Virginia Beach, not Chesapeake, but I'm a lifetime resident of Virginia and a successful product of Virginia Public Schools. I'm also a Navy veteran and a retired business executive, and I've had a vested interest in the success of our students, our children, for years, which I continue to have even though I'm now retired. And I appreciate this opportunity to address you on a matter of critical importance across this whole region and to the entire state, I feel. My wife and many others of our friends are volunteers with Good News Bible Clubs, both in Chesapeake and Virginia Beach. These clubs are serving hundreds of children across the region, providing the opportunity to be exposed to light and truth while being loved by the volunteers who serve them. I'm impressed tonight by the hundreds of adult volunteers who are giving back to the community, many adults through these clubs, not just the Good News Bible Clubs. And they are loving these children, which they severely need. My points to you in this regard will be brief and to the point. God's instruction manual makes it abundantly clear that there is no neutral ground, no compromise in the eternal conflict. We either obey God's instructions and choose to follow his intent for our lives, or we disobey and act out of our own constructive self-interest. The latter is to comply with Satan's wishes, whether intentionally or unintentionally, aligning ourselves with him and against our Creator. Do not align yourselves with Satan's wishes and abolish your policy, which allows Good News Bible Clubs to use our public school facilities and a number of other opportunities for adults to share the light with our children. Then there is the question of who paid for our public school facilities and what that entitles them to. You are funded by the tax dollars of your citizens. The facilities you have were provided out of your citizens' paychecks, literally. Are you really entitled to tell them that they may not use these facilities? Choose wisely. Do not choose to turn out the lights and cast our schools into darkness just because the school day is over. Thank you.
Speaker number 27, it's your turn at the podium. Please state your name and city of residence before you begin.
Good evening. Jim Mercantini, resident of Chesapeake. I've been in Chesapeake since 2010. I chose to move to Chesapeake. I would like to remind everybody in the room that the sign on the wall back there says public school, open to everybody in the public, not just one group, not just one organization. The list of 39 activities that run the risk of being shut down, if you break that down into 5 groups, 13 are sports, 10 are arts, 6 are clubs and civics, 3 are youth, and 6 are faith-based. Faith-based. I work with Christians, I work with Jews, I work with Muslims, I work with pagans, I work with Buddhists, I work with all types of religious entities, and I can tell you right now, all of our problems are the same. We all have the same issues. We sit here, I've heard people talk about how we are wasting our time talking about this. I was asked this evening before I came in here what I thought about bringing in security officers into the school, subsidizing security officers with police. All right, that's this type of stuff we should be focused on, not which group gets to use the facilities. Everybody in this room has paid their taxes. Everybody in this room has a right to those school buildings because it is a public school. All right, we can't sit here and pick and choose whether it's a Christian-based organization that we want to represent or if it's a satanic group that we want to represent, which, by the way, if you actually go online and read what they're into, they do talk a lot about like education and not just religious. It's not religious-based education. But I want to remind everybody, you can't have good without evil, so just keep that in mind, right? Heaven and hell, God and Satan, yin and yang, opposites, right? You can't have one without the other. So I would just like to say that before you punish 38 other groups because of one group, think about that. Every person in this community has utilized the school facility in some way or another, and we need to continue to do so for the betterment of the youth. Thank you.
Speaker number 28, it's your turn at the podium. And speaker number 29, if you're in the room, we please ask you to come to the front row.
Hi, I'm Melanie Cornelise, and I'm a resident of Chesapeake. I've got 2 kids in Chesapeake Public Schools, and I'm a big supporter of our public libraries. Many of you know me well. Isn't it crazy that we're all here this evening over a dispute about allowing religious after-school clubs? I always thought that we had a very strict division of church and state in our public schools, and I'm saying that both as a former public school teacher and as both my parents were public school teachers as well. How did we get here? Well, we're here in large part because of a court case that was brought forward by a Christian evangelical group that includes the Good News Club. And that case led to a SCOTUS decision that our public schools must allow religious groups to meet. This is, of course, because of our First Amendment, the one that protects the right to freedom of speech and the right to assemble. Paradoxically, of course, it's also the law that protects the rights of the after-school Satan Club to meet in our public schools. They both have the same rights. That's how this country works. Now, this board faces a predicament. Quite a quandary. They face lawsuits from either or both the Christian and the Satan Club, both sides, if they refuse to allow religious clubs to meet. They really can't do that legally. If they vote to eliminate all non-exempt clubs, they will upset, anger, and disappoint CPS students, staff, and parents. Those parents vote, by the way, and many of us are here tonight. Raise your hands. If I may, I'd like to propose a solution that has worked well in other cities facing this exact same predicament. And here I'd like you to listen closely. School boards determined in these cases that religious after-school clubs meet at 6 p.m. in the evening. If religious gathering is so important to particular individual students and or their parents, they can come back to school for those activities. I thank you for your time and for your service.
Speaker number 29, it's your turn at the podium. Please state your name and city of residence before you begin. And speaker 30, we've got a spot up front for you.
Hi, my name is Jessie Ramsran. I'm from Prince George. This is probably my 4th time up here. I think I've had a different hairstyle each time. So all or none, there's a corollary to that though. It's religious, all or none religious. Chesapeake School Board gets it finally mostly. The separation of church and state is vital, and you get it mostly. You do not use taxpayer dollars to support religious organizations. Any religious organizations, any public space supported by taxpayer dollars is off limits, period. This is a violation of the First Amendment. I am a huge First Amendment proponent, very easy. But you're looking at throwing out the baby with the bathwater. That's why you get it mostly in your obvious recognition to uphold the First Amendment and your fight for it, you also pushed out organizations that don't fit this description, organizations that have no ties to organized religion. They stand here before you speaking today, but this is a start. It's more than most school boards have done correctly. So we need to take this Chesapeake School Board initiative on a roadshow to city councils, state legislatures, all the way up to the federal level and show that you guys are getting something right. No religious organizations paid for in taxpayer-funded areas and buildings, et cetera, The other school organizations, these wrestling clubs, these Girl Scout clubs, they are not tied to religious organizations. They have nothing to do with this. After School Satan Club, Good News Club, any religious organization off limits to these buildings. Taxpayer-funded dollars, no go. Thank you very much.
Speaker number 30, it's your turn at the podium. Speaker number 31, we've got a space in the front row for you.
Good evening, members of the school board. My name is Elizabeth Stoddard, resident of Chesapeake. I'm here as a parent and a teacher in the Western Branch community tonight. My boys and I are here to ask you to vote yes to allow outside clubs to continue to use Chesapeake buildings and facilities. As a parent of 4 children that have come through the Western Branch school system, my oldest is now at Liberty University. She participated in the Young Life organization while in high school and has now become a Young Life leader and pursuing a degree in education and youth ministry. My other daughter is a senior at Western Branch and also on the girls varsity volleyball team participating in Young Life as well. My boys, Rowan and Bridger, are here tonight. This is a long wait for them. Their participating at Western Branch with Bruin Brawlers, a youth development wrestling program for boys and girls run by Chesapeake bred coaches with national recognition. By voting yes, these boys and girls can receive top technical coaching and, even more importantly, mentorship from incredible men who build up kids. The cost involved is nominal and I believe affordable for all families. Moving to an outside facility would cost families upwards of $1,000, something I think a lot of families cannot afford or may not be willing to commit when their children are young. As a teacher at Western Branch High School also for 23 years, I have seen firsthand in the classroom the character of the athletes that these coaches produce. I am excited about having my boys under their direction at an early age. They also get to develop relationships with older athletes and to form a family, which I believe will make their transition to middle and high school easier. Because of Bruin Brawlers draws from all feeder schools in Western Branch, this will also create a unified program once the athletes reach high school.
Hello, my name is Rowan. Hello, my name is Rowan. I'm going to 3rd grade at Chittum Elementary. I like Bruin Brawlers. I like learning the skills and playing dodgeball at the end. My coaches are kind and they help me improve my skills. Please vote yes so we can continue participating. Thank you. Hello, my name is Bridger. I'm going in 1st grade.
And I really like my wrestling club.
And I really like my wrestling club.
And playing with my coaches.
And playing with my coaches.
Please vote yes.
Please vote yes.
Thank you for your time and consideration. Please vote yes.
Speaker number 31, it's your turn at the podium. Speaker number 32, if you'll come forward, we have a space in the front row.
Hi, my name is Tracy Frank. I'm a resident of Chesapeake. I didn't come with prepared speech today. And as a believer, I was asking the Lord to show me what to speak about. And during this meeting, it became clear. First of all, The First Amendment is about the establishment of a religion, not the government preventing those people from practicing their religion. And when a public school offers their facility for all, then that's not establishing a religion. The other thing that I want to talk about, it was stated that there is no evidence or example of satanic abuse. I have personal experience with that. I know somebody who was tortured. But it wasn't in a public school. It was out in the community. So should we just stop everything because we're afraid of what might happen? We can't be afraid. And like it was stated before, there is God and there's evil. You're going to have evil wherever you go. You can't escape it. Not everybody that goes to school is a believer. You could have people that are satanic at home that send their children. So it's already there. But then you have clubs that can come in and counter some of that with good news, with something positive. But we want to kick that out? When we already have evil in the schools? Don't say we're going to kick out the clubs because we're afraid of evil in the schools. It's already there. Allow the clubs that are going to benefit these kids. And I love listening to the positives from the wrestling club, all those good things. And we want to say no because we're afraid. Well, I'm telling you, as someone who knows somebody who has experienced satanic ritual abuse, I'm not afraid. And I know this person would say they're not afraid of having the Satan Club come into the school because this person would know that having the Good News Club and other clubs to counter it is a good thing. Thank you.
Speaker number 32, it's your turn at the podium. Speaker number 33, if you're in the room, please come to the front row.
Good evening. My name is Cadence Rincon, and I am in Girl Scout Junior in Troop 916 in Chesapeake. I am also a resident of Chesapeake, and I have attended Greenbrier Primary, Greenbrier Intermediate, and I will be attending Greenbrier Middle this September. Our troops meet at Greenbrier Primary every other week during the school year and has been there since 2017. I am here tonight because I would like to ask the Chesapeake School Board to continue to support access and use of school facilities by Girl Scouts. It is very important to my troop and our council to have the use of schools in our Chesapeake community. Our troop offers girls opportunities to learn about many things. This year, we've learned about the solar system and completed our Space Science Explorer badge. We've also conducted projects to earn our Citizen Science badge, making observations on ants and squirrels in our local area and pollution in waterways. In the Chesapeake community, our observations were then entered into a real-life scientist database to help scientists all over the world collect data. We have had many meetings with special community guests who worked with us to earn badges such as learning fire safety and basic first aid from the Chesapeake Fire Department, the importance of enforcing laws from the Chesapeake Police Department, and someone from the Peace Corps helped us learn about the difference in educational rights and access to basic needs of girls across different countries of the world. We have also revived a local butterfly garden, donated homeless care packages, and saved our cookie money to buy 2 awesome buddy benches for the public, with one located nearby at the Fun Forest in Chesapeake City Park. Currently, girls in our troop are finishing a Take Action project to relocate and donate trash cans at a nearby school park, and are finishing up a home good drive for the organization for kids that helps families fight homelessness right here in Hampton Roads area. Our troop has even donated more than 3,800 boxes of Girl Scout cookies over the past few years, and the local. Thank you for your time.
Speaker number 33, it's your turn at the podium. Please state your name and city of residence before you begin, and speaker number 34, if you'll come forward.
My name is Stephen Shearbaum. I'm from Chesapeake. I'm once again appearing before you to petition that you no longer allow the after-school Satan Club to meet on public school property. It seems that the only alternative that this board is willing to vote on is an all or nothing proposal. Seeing as this is the case, I implore you to take the only moral action, which is to prohibit all non-exempt clubs. I would like to address a point that several board members made in the last school board meeting. It was said that no matter how the vote went regarding facility use, the board members would be willing to accept the decision and move on. I'm here to tell you that I plan to continue to come and address the board on this matter as long as the after-school Satan Club meets. I'm sure that you have already gotten hundreds of emails and phone calls stating reasons why the after-school Satan Club should no longer be able to meet. I could give you more reasons, but basically it just boils down to 2 issues. Your allowing this club to meet does harm to the city of Chesapeake, both now and in the future. And your allowing this club to meet places your souls in severe jeopardy of going to hell for all eternity. In addition to dedicating myself to continue to address this board in future meetings, should the After-School Satan Club be allowed to continue to meet, I want to let you know that I will be more politically active than I have ever been to ensure that all of you that vote to allow the After-School Satan Club to meet will be defeated in whatever political aspirations you have for the future. I haven't knocked on doors relating to political issues, but it is something I would consider doing. In addition to trying to convince voters not to vote for everyone who allowed this club to meet, I would promote whoever voted against the After-School Satan Club for meeting. To conclude, I would like to share a bit about who I am. You have heard me talk quite a bit since December, and you may think that I really don't have anything else to do besides come and address this board and be a busybody. I want you to know that I have a full-time job. I'm married and have 4 children, ages 1 to 7 years old, and I'm very involved in my church. This is a great strain on my precious resource of time. To close, I want to share a story with you of St. Maximilian Kolbe. Today is his feast day, which only happens once a year. My wife and I were so moved by the example of his life and heroic death that we named our 5-year-old son, who has autism, after him. I should also mention that you allowing the After-School Satan Club to meet made us determined to ensure that he never attends Chesapeake Public Schools. He currently attends a private ABA therapy clinic, which costs a lot of money. Anyways, St. Maximilian's father was murdered as a traitor by the Russians when he was fighting for an independent Polish state in 1914, the year Maximilian took his permanent vows as a religious. I'm sure that Maximilian was inspired by his father's death, as he gave up his life to save a Jewish father in a concentration camp in Auschwitz, Poland. His crime that put him in the concentration camp was standing up to a godless and atheistic Nazi regime. He was an evangelizer and missionary for the Catholic Church when it was considered illegal, and not any sort of insurrectionist. His weapons were prayer, rooted in a deep devotion and trust in the Mother of God, organization, and the mass media. I pray to God that I and many others may follow his example and never be silent in the face of such evil as the After-School Satan Club and the Satanic Temple. I also pray that... Thanks.
Speaker number 34, it's your turn at the podium. And speaker number 35, if you're in the room, please come to the front row.
Good evening. My name is Philip McFarland, and I am the board chairman of Child Evangelism Fellowship. I am a resident of Suffolk, Virginia, and I went to school actually in Chesapeake. Education comes in many different forms. I remember when my son was in first grade of kindergarten, and the teacher mentioned how their job was to help give the students not only the skills needed for the academics, but to instill morals and character and perseverance and trust and a lot of different other forms of morals. And education comes in many forms: character, morals, perseverance, hard work, teamwork, community. And a lot of these clubs that are in these schools, they are teaching that to the students, the youth in the city of Chesapeake. And of course, I'm with Child Evangelism Fellowship. Of course, that is a religious organization, but what we're instilling in the youth is character, it's morals, it's being a good citizen, and it is integrity, things that are needed in the public school system. So my encouragement or my thought in meeting with you all or talking with you all is to be a proponent of keeping the community clubs a welcomed part of the school community. There's a lot of different aspects that are needed in the school system, not just in math and science, but also of good character. And CEF has had no problems in the last 15 to 20 years in the school system. And, Bearing Access removes parents' options to choose additional activities in a safe and convenient place. And some programs, like the Good News Club, do not have other options, leading to many program cancellations. So I would ask you to please consider to keep all the clubs as they will affect children. And I wanted to also thank you for your service and working in the city of Chesapeake. I know it's not easy. There's a lot of different things you have to vote on, and we're very thankful for your service to the city of Chesapeake. Thank you.
Speaker number 35, it's your turn at the podium. Speaker number 36, if you'll come to the front row.
My name is Kit Webb, and I am a resident of Suffolk. Child Evangelism Fellowship of Tidewater covers all the cities in Tidewater. So that includes Suffolk. It goes on to the Eastern Shore. Actually, so it makes Suffolk and Chesapeake, Norfolk, Portsmouth, Virginia Beach, all a part of this Tidewater group. So I was at the Suffolk School Board meeting last Thursday when a citizen who was speaking wanted to pray during their 3 minutes. And the school board chairman said, "No, you can't pray here. If we allow you to pray, then the Satan people will come and pray." So she sat down. After she sat down, another woman in the audience stood up, and she started to pray the Lord's Prayer. Then another, and another, and another. Eventually, most of the people were praying the Lord's Prayer as the school board chairman was motioning to the police to come and clear the room. So what's going on in Chesapeake is affecting not only Chesapeake, but it's affecting the whole area, the whole Tidewater area. But this has been Satan's plan since the Garden of Eden, to try devious ways to have people raise the white flag of surrender. We find ourselves in a hard place tonight. No, we don't want the Satan Club or Satan at all in the schools or to have an influence on children. Of course we don't. That's clearly not what anyone, I'm sure, who's voting would want. But the positive influence we can't omit. You cannot take a vacuum and just allow, if you just delete everything, omit it all, you have a vacuum, and that's not a positive influence. So what does the Bible say about this very thing? Let's look and see. We're told to stand strong through the devil's attacks. Be strong in the Lord and the power of his might. Strengthen yourself in the Lord, and our strength comes from the Lord. Satan wants to separate man from God. But we have to remember what Jesus said about this, that my Father is greater than all, and nothing can separate us from God's love. Jesus had the victory at the cross over Satan. The devil doesn't want us to remember that he was defeated right at the cross. So thank you for this affecting the rest of the community, your vote.
Speaker number 36, it's your turn at the podium. Speaker number 37, if you're in the room, we have space in the front row.
Good evening. My name is Samantha Glenn. I am a current and unhappy resident of Chesapeake. I have my daughter here. She is a middle schooler at Jolliffe in Western Branch. I also have an elementary student in Chittum. I have heard a ton of church and no separation tonight. And I'm pretty sure we lived in America. Where I'm from in Germany, Bavaria, we're a very Catholic state. We're the most restrictive Catholic state. So I'm used to that there. But I was certain in America that was not supposed to be a thing in public schools. But that's besides the point. My problem with this vote tonight on the exempt and non-exempt clubs. I am a soccer coach for the YMCA of Southampton Roads. I coach 2 teams. I also coach at futsal. My husband does basketball. We're involved in every single sport of the YMCA. Yes, the YMCA has their own facilities, but here's something we do not have. Soccer fields, a pitch. This past season, we were fortunate enough to have a contract with historic Greenbrier Farms, also owned by the city of Chesapeake. That fell through abruptly, for whatever reason. Then, by some unknown reason, or some unknown way, we were fortunate enough to get, I don't know, a cookie from the city, and we were able to use Greenbrier Middle's soccer field. We got to use the entire fields. That was amazing. We had the best season since my time, which is June of 2021, with the YMCA. If you take that away tonight, over 1,000 kids between Great Bridge and Greenbrier Family YMCA will have nowhere to play this coming season, which starts in 6 weeks. Nowhere. We already don't get to practice at that field. We have to use somewhere else. And it's not like the YMCA has a ton of field space. The one next to Greenbrier is also owned by the city of Chesapeake. It's that baseball and some tennis courts right there. We can't practice, all of us there. We're already separated. Please do not take away sports like wrestling or soccer from these kids. What else do we have to have? Soccer brings every single person in this world together. It does not matter religion, race, gender, anything for soccer. It's literally 2 people can get together and kick around a pine cone. That's all it takes. There is no talk of religion or politics. And that's all this has turned into tonight. Praying over what? And fighting over the same things. We will never, like someone else said, evil and good go together. Otherwise the police wouldn't have a job. You guys were voted in by us. And we also could be voted out by us, right? That's the whole point of the public. Just remember that a lot of those kids back here, the parents, we all also use the YMCA. We need somewhere to go too. And before we say, someone else says that there are private places to go, I don't see anybody standing up trying to pay for my child to go use a private club, nor do I see city money being able to go to Chesapeake United or Arsenal. Thank you.
Speaker number 37, it's your turn at the podium. Please state your name and city of residence before you begin.
Ooh, what up, y'all? Janae Sheffield, prefer Rose Bastet. I live in Norfolk. So happy to see you guys again. Not really. I'm tired of doing this, as I'm sure you guys are too. There's been a lot of baseless accusations thrown around towards our group during these meetings, and some of them kind of specifically at me. I'm the leader of the After School Satan Club, everyone that doesn't know me, sitting in the back. There have been a lot of obvious projections happening here. The groups that are mudslinging literally have hundreds of years of provable heinous crimes that they have been committed of. But if I'm being honest, I'm really getting annoyed with how our words are falling on deaf ears. We're different and therefore shocking to you, and rather than taking the time to understand us, we've been dehumanized up here. Why are people so scared of us hosting a club that children need parental permission to attend? Why are you willing to potentially sacrifice so many other clubs just to keep us out? Have you spoken with the employees at the school that we've hosted the club at? I mean, seriously, they would have told you if we were doing something nefarious at this point. We haven't been. We've painted rocks and learned about animals. It's been really cool and fun. But it's mind-blowing to me that freedom of religion means nothing to this city unless you're a white Christian. The fact that it's been suggested on more than one occasion that we wish to harm children is an absolutely vile notion to me. But I realize that you guys know actually very little about us as individuals, and I can imagine the kinds of things that people have concocted about me. So I'm going to tell you just a little bit about myself in hopes of humanizing myself. I work for a nonprofit. I'm a Navy brat, but I was lucky enough to spend most of my formative years in Virginia Beach. I was an honor student. I became a vegetarian at 14 because I don't like hurting animals. Weird, right? We don't sacrifice them, I promise. I can't in good conscience actually hurt any sentient creatures. It breaks my heart. I've successfully fostered a couple of severely and abused, neglected dogs. I did foster fail on one, though. I've got a giant Rottie at home. She's the love of my life now. I have a 12-year-old son. He is beautiful. He's in a gifted school. And if he maintains honor roll through middle and high school, he gets a full ride to whatever Virginia college he wants. He's phenomenal, and he makes me proud every single day. I have attended numerous rallies to support the Black Lives Matter movement, trans rights, women's rights, animal rights. You name it, I've probably been showing up and being annoying, as I'm annoying here as well. My personal philosophy is that all people deserve to live happy, healthy, fulfilling lives, no matter what they look like or believe in. I've always gone out of my way to help a friend in need, even when I'm not well off myself. Damn it. Oh, sorry.
Speaker number 38, it's your turn at the podium. Speaker number 39, if you're in the room, we have space in the front row.
Good evening, Board, Superintendent Cotton, and your eminent and very much appreciated staff. I'm here for only a couple of minutes tonight, and I'm delighted to be here. My name is Dr. Charlotte Worley, and just for a point of interest, I really do love this city. I've been living here all my life. I've been with Chesapeake Public Schools. I started my career even before Tommy did. But the reason that I'm here today is I want to welcome all of our new teachers, our new staff, our custodians, food service workers, everyone who's going to be new with Chesapeake Public Schools. This is an exciting time, and I appreciated the prayers that we got. I appreciate the challenges that each of the board members has. I'm just so grateful we're going to start a new year healthy and happy, and we need to thank and take care of those new folk, because why? They could have chose another division. But they chose us because we're something special. So we can't let them down. We got to make certain that we take very, very good care of them. And I know that I'm here to support them as well. My career is waning, but I'm going to leave them with stars in their eyes. Additionally, I want to ask our new members, our new family, to join the largest labor union in America, the NEA, VEA, and our own Chesapeake Education Association. And so I leave you tonight with this. Hashtag, we're stronger together. Hashtag, just follow the Constitution. Thank you.
Speaker number 39, it's your turn at the podium. And speaker number 40, if you'll come to the front row.
Hi, good evening. My name is Amberly Apostolico Conwell, and I've been a resident of Chesapeake, Virginia for the last 14 years. I'm the proud mom of 2 boys, one who attends Deep Creek High School for the SMA Academy. He is also a Deep Creek wrestler and participates in the Heavy Hitting Hammers Club. If you vote to go against allowing these non-school sponsored events to participate in the schools, you're going to have an incredible detriment to our youth. The youth today is now experiencing things that no generation has before. They're growing up faster, they're seeing more, and they're being forced to make tougher decisions and become adults sooner. Clubs, like all of these wrestling clubs that have spoke before me, help raise these young men and women to have morals, to have self-regulation, teach them respect, teach them to give back to the community, teach them the value of their self-worth and what it means to be part of a team. If you choose to no longer let them practice, clubs like the Heavy Hitting Hammers Club simply won't go on. They don't turn a single kid away. Their parents don't have any money? No problem. We'll figure it out. You want to wrestle? You're going to put your whole heart into it. We're going to make sure you're there and that you're going to wrestle and have every single thing you need. If we were not allowed to use Deep Creek High School, we would be looking at costs for wrestling mats of $20,000 to $30,000. And simply put, we don't have it. There's never been an issue of safety or question when it comes to the Heavy Hitting Hammers Club. The Heavy Hitting Hammers Club is backed by school faculty members. Tonight, I ask that you vote to continue to allow clubs like Heavy Hitting Hammers, like Grassfield, like Great Bridge, and like Hickory to continue to use school property to operate. Thank you.
Speaker number 40, it's your turn at the podium. Please state your name and city of residence before you begin.
Hello, my name is Zachary Daniels, and I'm from Chesapeake. On my way here, I wasn't really thinking about speaking, or I wasn't really caring about being here. But on my way here, the Holy Spirit tugged on my heart to come and speak up here and tell you what we do at Good News Club and about the kids' testimonies and my testimony. So my parents, they started a Good News Club 7 years ago, and at Butts Road Primary School. And all of my 3 siblings and I have gone through Butts Road Primary School, Butts Road Intermediate. And my parents, they wanted to share the gospel to kids in public schools. And so they started a Good News Club there. And when they started, I was in 1st grade, and I don't really remember a ton of that year. But then the next year after that, when I was in 2nd grade, it was a full year, and I remember a ton. And I just remember learning about God and about who He is and about what He did for me and for everybody in this room and in this world. And so now I am in 8th grade, and last year I was going to help with the Good News Club, but the Good News Club wasn't able to happen because of COVID. But this past year, I was able to help, and I was able to see how the children reacted to what we did. And so, like most kids at the start of the Good News Clubs on the first week or a couple first weeks, they were like, why do I have to be here? Or when are my parents going to get here? And are we almost done? And stuff like that. And I saw them, they were very they were restless, and they were kind of annoyed that they had to be there. But then throughout the year, they just got better and better, and they loved learning about Jesus and what He did. And they all loved learning the Bible lessons, the missionary stories, and learning and memorizing memory verses. And these memory verses can help them with anything. If they're sad, or if they are trying to tell others about what Jesus did for them, they can just remember these memory verses, and they can have the joy in remembering these and what Jesus did for them. And so at the end of the year, some of the kids were like they were saying, why do we have to leave? Like, I really want to stay here, and I wish this could keep going. And I was just very touched by what they were saying, and I loved hearing that from them. And the parents, they were very, very supportive of what we were doing, and they wanted their children to hear about Jesus. And the children, some of them accepted Jesus, and some of them wanted to learn more and more and more. And so I just love what the Good News Club helps or does, and helps kids learn about Jesus. And I just want to thank you for your time, and thank you for the service that you have provided to Chesapeake Public Schools and to all of Chesapeake. Thank you.
This concludes our speakers for this evening.
Thank you for sharing your comments. Our practice is to receive information. However, we do not usually engage in dialogue, and that is our intent tonight. If appropriate and not already provided, someone from the superintendent's staff will evaluate your concern and provide a response. Before we move to the consent agenda, we are going to take a very, very brief 5-minute break. If you don't need to step up, please stick to close to your seats, because in light of it being a longer meeting, I don't want to hold you here any longer than necessary, so we're going to keep it to a very tight 5-minute recess. Thank you. We are now reconvening into open session. We will now move on to the consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion for approval. Moved by Mr. Lamonia. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Poole. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Dr. Smith.
Motion carries with all board members present voting yes.
We are now moving on to the information agenda. The first item is the summer school update. Mrs. Edwards?
Good evening, Chair Swiger, Vice Chairman Mercer, and members of the board. Nearly 5,000 of our students just finished a successful summer learning experience. Tonight, Mrs. Kimberly McGrath, our Director of Academic Support, will give you a summer learning update. Kim?
Good evening, Chair Swiger, Vice Chair Mercer, school board members, Dr. Cotton, and cabinet members. Tonight, like Ms. Edwards says, I wish to give you a brief peek at our summer learning experience for over 5,000 of our students. Let's start with elementary school. This 4-week program was held at 6 of our elementary schools and CSEP. 2,218 of our students attended from June 26th through July 27th. The focus for summer learning was to provide opportunities that supported students' learning and academic skills, as well as enrichment experiences. Services were also provided for our English language and exceptional learners at those sites. Lunch was provided each day. And now here's the plan for our middle school summer learning. Middle school students were offered 2 10-day sessions from June 26th to August 1st from 8:45 to 12:45 at Grassfield and Western Branch High Schools. The priority was to build students' academic skills and provide a week of career and technical enrichment. Like elementary summer school, each site offered services for English language and exceptional learners. Over 800 of our students were able to participate and benefit from these summer learning experiences. Lastly, we'll look at high school summer learning. Our high school summer program had 2,103 students enrolled in virtual or in-person courses. Students taking credit bearing, credit recovery, and quick review courses for SOL tests received their instruction through a virtual platform, while our students taking career and college enrichment courses and receiving special education services did so in person at the Chesapeake Career Center, Western Branch, or Grassfield High School. We're happy to report that as a result of summer learning, over 100 of our students graduated and were celebrated on August the 10th. While summer school is a much smaller than regular school year program, the planning for next year's summer learning has already begun. While Mrs. Delisle coordinated this program, which falls under the Department of Academic Support, its success involves collaboration between multiple departments, as you see here: transportation, payroll and accounting, school nutrition, as well as the others listed here. I'd like to thank our principals and assistant principals who also plan for and oversee summer school. Some of them did so while transitioning to new positions this year. But it takes all of us collaborating with a sole focus on student learning. Thank you for the opportunity to share, and I'll take any questions.
I see no questions, so thank you.
Thank you.
We are now moving on to safety and security. Dr. Cotton.
Thank you, Chair Swigert. As you may remember, last year we explored the idea of hiring armed security personnel to provide support to our elementary schools, and the board even passed a policy that would pave the way for that change. But tonight I'm happy to share that we have identified an innovative solution through a partnership with the Sheriff's Department that will enhance the safety of our elementary schools with the use of the Sheriff's deputies, of course, allowing our law enforcement specialists to do what they do best. And I'm real excited to tell you about this new initiative. This new safety initiative will take place in our schools as we begin the 23-24 school year. As you know, our middle and high schools are fortunate to have police officers serving as school resource officers that report to their schools each day. These officers also provide support to our elementary schools as needed. But beginning on day 1 of the 23-24 school year, Sheriff's deputies will be assigned to support our elementary schools, serving as school resource officers at the elementary level, adding an extra layer of support for our elementary students and staff. And just a few short months ago, we didn't think this was a possibility, so we're very excited to share this evening. We are fortunate to have a wonderful working relationship with our sheriff, Sheriff O'Sullivan, who we're going to hear from here shortly, as well as Police Chief Selesky and their teams. When we broached the idea of partnering with the Sheriff's Department to provide deputies within our elementary schools, Sheriff O'Sullivan and Chief Selesky quickly embraced this initiative, and all parties involved have worked tirelessly to make this a reality for the upcoming school year. These efforts included the development of a memorandum of understanding between the school system and the Sheriff's Department, and a training initiative supported by the Police Department, the Sheriff's Department, as well as the Department of Criminal Justice. We will start the new school year with 8 deputies, who you're going to meet this evening, serving as SROs in our elementary schools. Our elementary schools have been divided into 7 boroughs, with 3 to 5 elementary schools that will be supported by an assigned deputy. These deputies will follow a rotating schedule within their borough. An 8th deputy will work a floating schedule or provide substitute coverage across the district as needed. You may be asking, how much is it going to cost? Well, the total estimated cost of the program is approximately $828,000, which includes $608,000 for salaries and $220,000 for vehicles. And we're fortunate that we're able to leverage ESSER funds, grant funding, to cover the cost for the first year of this program, which is why we're able to pull this off for the upcoming school year. As a reminder, additional school security officers, that's our SSOs, were added to also support elementary schools. If you all remember last spring, we utilized ESSER funds to add additional people, not armed, but school staff, to help support and provide security to our elementary schools as well. So we've really been working creatively to support our elementary schools with safety. Again, we're very excited to embark on this wonderful partnership with the Sheriff's Department. I would like to thank our board member, Mr. Lamonia, for his assistance in getting the ball rolling with this innovative initiative. He's been involved in pretty much every meeting I've been involved in, trying to work through this, and he had a great vision for how we can pull this together. And of course, he knew I needed to talk to the sheriff, which is where I should have started. But as a member of our executive committee for the Mayor's School Safety Task Force, Mr. Lamonia was instrumental in getting this off the ground. And Mr. Lamonia, I would like to give you an opportunity if you'd like to add any comments, and then if you would introduce the sheriff and his team and let him introduce his team. I'd appreciate it.
Sure, happy to, and thanks for the kind words, but I mean, listen, this is all for the benefit of our kids and for Chesapeake, right? So, yeah, this was a vision that we hit the ground running with on day one, I think even before I took office, but nothing's done without a team, right? We see a lot of teams in the room now, so I want to thank, of course, the sheriff, and our deputies that are going to be in the schools for the dedication, the partnership, the support. Of course, Mark Selesky, the police chief, as well, for his support to get this pulled together, and the tremendous work done by the CPS staff here to pull all this together in the background. Nothing happens quick in government, right? Nothing at all. And from basically January when we initiated these discussions till now, to the start of the school year that's upcoming, this has all been pulled together, and it's a testament to the great work and the partnership with the sheriff's office, and the CPS staff here. So the sheriff and I have a long-standing relationship. I won't talk long, but dating back to task force, developments and personnel that he still has on task forces within the Department of Homeland Security. So, and in fact, you're on their second iteration of a narcotics canine, right? That has, that's how long we've been partnered in a lot of realms. One that was even purchased by, by my former agency. So, we're indebted to you for your partnership. Thank you for stepping up. Thank you for all wanting to do this job so important for our youth. And with that being said, no further ado, Sheriff, will you come up and say some words? Appreciate you.
Thank you, Mike, very much. I appreciate it. Just the working relationship that we have here in Chesapeake is second to none. And that starts with the boots on the ground. With the police officers, firefighters, and the deputy sheriffs, we all work together collectively to get the job done. And Chief Selesky was very supportive of this program. We have to use the resources that we have to accomplish our goals here. Chesapeake is a great place to live, work, and play. We don't have the downtown atmosphere. We don't have the oceanfront. We don't have the riverfront. Our revenue here that keeps our city so vibrant is generated through our property assessments and the property value. So people come to Chesapeake because it's a safe community and it's great schools. And I commend all of you for the great job you do each and every day with our children here in Chesapeake. Dr. Cotton, meeting with you was seamless. All of you and your staff getting everything together and working along with Mike and everyone coming together to make it happen so quickly it speaks volumes. How if you come together and you get rid of red tape and just say what is best for the students here in Chesapeake, you come together and get the job done. And it's so nice that all of our deputies graduated from SRO school in Chantilly, Virginia on last Friday. And today we had our first meeting, and next week they're going to be hitting the ground. They're going to go out to the schools. They're going to get to know every school. They're going to know around the schools, the environment around there, meet all the principals and the staff, and we are in this 110%. And it's a partnership. Our police department does a great job in the schools, in the middle schools and the high schools. And we're going to do a great job in our elementary schools. And I'm so excited for two things. The first is to make sure that our schools are safe, that they feel safe, their parents feel safe. And the second is to have the first interaction with a child and a law enforcement officer to be a positive one, to let them know that we are the good guys and the good girls. We're there to help them. If they have a problem, come to us. So I feel that will make things a lot better into the future. So I'm honored to be here today. I'm honored, and I thank you all for working together to make this happen so quickly. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to, I have a sergeant that is going to oversee the unit, and he will come up and introduce himself, and then all of our SROs will briefly introduce themselves, and I know time is of essence, so we will move very quickly.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sergeant Jason Pruitt. I'm going to be supervising this fine group. As we get started, we're so excited to get into the schools, and I've been with the Sheriff's Office for about 16 years now, so looking forward to it.
I'm Master Deputy Weston Spruill. I've been with the Sheriff's Office for 24 years.
My name is Deputy Sherman Blake Marlowe. I've been with the Sheriff's Office for 6 years.
Master Deputy Zachary Cleel. I've been with Chesapeake Sheriff's Office for going on 13 years now.
Master Deputy Jeff Mejia. Been with the department for 18 years.
I'm Deputy Kimberly Lawrence. I've been with Chesapeake for 7 years.
Good evening. I'm Deputy Birch. I've been with the Chesapeake Sheriff's Office going on 8 years now.
Good evening. Master Deputy Senzali, been with the Sheriff's Office for 23 years.
Good evening, Deputy Granum. I've been with the Sheriff's Office for 4 years.
As you can see, what is very important for any organization is diversity, whether it be gender, race, years of service, and experience. And that's what these individuals represent. And I guarantee you they're going to be doing a great job. And we thank you all and have a very blessed night.
The last item on the information agenda is proposed revisions to school board policies. Dr. Smith.
Thank you, Chair Swigert. As is our typical process and in accordance with recent legislative changes, we have quite a few policy revisions to share with you tonight. I am very happy to introduce our Director of Planning Policy and Research, Mrs. Fallon Graham, who has been working diligently with the Superintendent's Cabinet to prepare these drafts for your review and consideration. Mrs. Graham will present an overview of these proposed revisions at this time.
Good evening, Chair Swigert, Vice Chair Mercer, and members of the board. With over 3,000 bills introduced to the General Assembly and 1,677 passed, quite a few bills passed will have an impact on our policy manual. As subscribers to the VSBA policy services, Chesapeake Public Schools has access to updates from the VSBA that provide guidance on recommendations for policy revisions. In accordance with amendments to the Code of Virginia and Chesapeake Public Schools' regular policy manual review, I'd like to present to you policies with proposed revisions. To ensure compliance with state regulations, enhance student safety and well-being, and improve the overall educational experience for our students, we reviewed the policies listed on this slide in collaboration with the impacted departments. The reviewed policies only had minor grammatical revisions or updates to legal references. The policies you see here are being presented with proposed revisions. A majority of the revisions are in response to recent legislative changes from the Virginia General Assembly. It is important that we align our policies with these changes to maintain state compliance and to secure funding. I will present the highlights of the proposed changes. However, complete versions of the proposed changes have been uploaded to Board Docs for your review. Revisions to Policy 307 come as a result of amendments to the Code of Virginia, requiring division superintendents to annually designate an employee in the local school division as the division safety official and includes such division safety official designation in the collated packet of school safety audits submitted to the Virginia Center for School and Campus Safety. Revisions to Policy 312 include the removal of reference to grievance procedure to maintain consistency with revisions made to Policy 814 that I'll discuss with you in just a moment. Revisions to Policy 449 come as a result of amendments to the Code of Virginia, requiring that schools process applications for participation in the National School Lunch Program or the School Breakfast Program within 6 working days upon receipt of the completed application. Policy 616 in the curriculum section of the manual was revised to include the items listed here that are intended to foster a conducive learning environment free from disruption. Policy 804 had only a minor change in that the reference to the appendix was removed. A new regulation has been developed, Regulation 814, outlining the grievance procedure that was previously included in the appendix. Policy 814 has been revised to better align with the Virginia Code. It includes a 6-month probationary period for all classified employees from the date of hire. It also states that classified employees who are not probationary may access the grievance procedure that was just mentioned. Policy 851.1 has been revised to include clarification for court-related absences. Employees may be compensated for court appearances when they involve official business related to their position for Chesapeake Public Schools. In addition, this policy includes a guide for action regarding employees who are chosen to serve as election officials at polling locations. Policy 852 includes proposed revisions that credit 5 days of sick leave for new employees upon appointment. The balance will then be credited on January 1st. Again, this change affects those who are new to Chesapeake Public Schools only. Leave for experienced employees will continue to be credited at the start of each school year, consistent with school board policy. There are a number of changes being proposed to Policy 853. The changes are related to personal leave and how it is distributed to eligible employees throughout the year. Among revisions to Policy 860 is language that clarifies substitutes are not eligible for bereavement leave. In addition, bereavement leave for relationships other than those listed may be considered by the Chief Human Resources Officer. The policy also includes a working definition of the term day. Revisions to Policy 910 come as a result from amendments to the Code of Virginia. This policy extends the rights and privileges afforded to military-connected children to children of federal employees serving under orders pursuant to Title 22 or 50 of the United States Code. Revisions to Policy 915 come as a result of amendments to U.S. Code that is expanded on the definition of homeless student. Policy 915 includes this expanded definition and the removal of the School of Origin section. Revisions to Policy 920 come as a result of amendments to the Code of Virginia requiring the principal or principal's designee to notify the parent of any student involved in an alleged incident of bullying within 24 hours of learning of the allegation of bullying. Revisions to Policy 921 include that appeals to the school board regarding suspension and expulsion shall be decided by the school board within 30 days of receipt of the appeal, rather than within 30 calendar days of the prior hearing. Before I conclude, I'd like to bring to your attention that revisions were made to the accompanying regulations presented tonight. As you are aware, regulations do not require action from the board, but they are provided as a reference, and these items can be found in the additional resources section of tonight's agenda. As long as there are no board member concerns, these policies will be added to the consent agenda for our next meeting. Do you have any questions?
I see no questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
We are now moving on to the action agenda, the 2023 VSBA Annual Convention. Dr. Smith.
Thank you, Chair Swigert. I would like to share an opportunity with the board. The Virginia School Boards Association will hold its annual convention this year in Williamsburg. It'll be November 15th through 17th. At this time, I would just like to get a count as to any board members who may be interested in attending, and I will need a vote for any of those who wish to attend.
Chair Swigert, I talked to Dr. Walker, and she would like to be included as well.
Thank you. Please include Dr. Walker in this count.
Okay, so I see hands up for Mr. Poole and Mrs. Swigert, Mr. Mercer, Mr. Boone, and you said to include Dr. Walker?
Yes.
All right, I'll need a motion to approve.
I'll entertain a motion for approval. Motion made by Mr. Poole. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. McCormick. Is there any discussion?
Yes, I have a question.
Mr.
Who's the
Mercer?
representative for the VSBA to the convention? Is it? Do you know Ms. Smith, Dr. Smith?
Yes, sir. Our delegate is Mrs. Angie Swigert, and Mr. John McCormick is the alternate.
Okay. So, you going?
Is there any discussion other than that? Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Dr. Smith.
Motion carries with all board members present voting yes.
The final item on the action agenda is proposed revisions to School Board Policy 5-25. I'll entertain a motion for approval. If there is no motion for approval, this proposed revision goes away. Sure. Well, I think we need a motion to open discussion on this matter. There was board member comments. Okay. Okay, a motion to approve made by Board Member Dean. Is there a second? So same effect with no second. Oh, seconded by Mr. Boone. Is there any discussion? Actually, I will open discussion on the topic. I'd like to open this discussion on this issue with several personal thoughts on the matter, beginning with a few points of clarification. In January, we asked the administration to prepare 2 versions of a facility use policy for consideration. The first version was materially similar to what the district's policy on facility use has been for many, many years, primarily providing clarifying language to many clauses of the policy, but essentially maintaining the same levels of access. We did not vote on accompanying regulations. It is the responsibility of the school administration to implement and execute policies enacted by the board, and that includes determining regulations that accompany our policies. The second version of the facility use policy significantly restricted usage to only exempt school-affiliated organizations. School-affiliated organizations are those that would not exist if it weren't for the specific single school where they function. For example, the Hickory Band Parents Association only exists to support that high school's band. The Indian River Middle School's PTA would not exist without Indian River Middle School. It is important to clarify at this point that it may not seem obvious on the surface, but organizations like the PTA and band boosters are in fact external organizations, but are by definition exempt. This facility use policy under consideration strictly governs the use of our policy or our property by external non-exempt organizations. This policy does not apply to true school-based, school-sponsored clubs like the Spanish Club or Robotics Club. There are currently approximately 40 non-exempt organizations that use our facilities in some fashion or another, and these include several dance schools, churches, orchestra and choral groups, local wrestling clubs, Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, and many, many more. In February, a majority of the board determined this second version of the policy banning access for all of these organizations was not the direction we wanted to take, so we voted to pass the first version of the policy. Since that vote in February, debate has continued on this matter. At the request of a board member, we will vote tonight to consider the version of the policy that does limit facility rentals to only school-affiliated exempt organizations. I think it's important to say again, facility use policy in any form governs only outside organizations and how they may access our property after school hours. These organizations do not promote their meetings or their events through our school system, and no child participates in or is even exposed to these external organizations while they are in school. There is no impact on the instructional day. Parents are in complete control over whether their child has access to any of these groups. Understandably, there has been a lot of concern around this policy this year. It is my hope that after tonight, we will be able to move forward with a clear understanding of what the policy is and what it isn't. Our focus as a board and administration remains on inspiring, engaging, and empowering each and every one of our students to achieve their highest potential. I will not vote tonight to categorically deny all outside organizations from renting space in our facilities. There are so many faith-based and secular organizations contributing to our community in invaluable ways through our facilities, and for many, asking them to find an alternate location is not the simple solution it sounds like. The administration has taken measures to ensure that the negative impact of wear and tear on our property is minimized. The feedback that I have received from the public overwhelmingly indicates that the benefits of access to our facilities far outweighs the negatives. I will vote accordingly again. Ms. Scott.
Thank you. First, I want to thank Madam Chair Swigert and Vice Chair Mercer for your leadership. The last few months, this has been a wild roller coaster of a ride. We thought we put this to bed 4 months ago, but it's back tonight. And your rational approach and your level heads have been greatly appreciated. I feel the same way about Dr. Cotton and your entire team. I so appreciate the hard work that you're doing. I also want to thank all the families that came out tonight to speak. It's such a privilege to represent you and to give you a seat at this table. I sat there many nights for over a year. I'm not going to get emotional. I want to thank also all the families, the teachers, the coaches, the community leaders that emailed and advocated for your children and your students to have access to after-school enrichment programs. I've heard you and I stand with you. I do want to share a little bit with you. My husband grew up in a broken, unstable, poor home. Sometimes he didn't even know where he would sleep at night due to evictions or a relationship of his mom ending at that time. But throughout his life, there were adults who stood in the gap for him and changed the trajectory of his life. Some of those adults included a teacher, a coach, a youth pastor, and an aunt and an uncle that made him go to church, where he not only met Jesus, he met Kim Scott. Two of the best decisions he ever made in his life, if you ask me. Because adults were willing to stand in the gap for my husband, he grew up to be an amazing man. He has served his country, fought in 2 wars, married me, fathered our 4 children, been a father figure to more, earned 2 college degrees, and serves our community by standing in the gap for others. He's coached many of our children's teams and served in our church. When you stand in the gap for a child, you're not just impacting their future, you're impacting future generations. That teacher, that coach, that youth pastor, that aunt and uncle, they impacted me, they impacted my children, and they will impact my future grandchildren. I have stood with you unwavering since day one, and I will continue to do so. I do want to be clear, though, that we are having this discussion, and we've had this discussion the last 7 months, because an anti-religious atheist group came to Chesapeake, Virginia, with the sole intent of shutting down a children's Bible study. Chesapeake families have rejected that agenda wholeheartedly. They do not want this outside organization to manipulate policy in our district that will adversely impact our children. Mr. Lamonia nailed it at our last meeting when he talked about the consequences of reactive governance. It hurts good people. Just like Mr. Poole said, we don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. So tonight, it's incredibly satisfying to align with Chair Swigert and many of other board members here tonight and defeat that agenda here in Chesapeake, Virginia. So thank you so much for being here. I hope you'll stay long enough after the meeting adjourns. I'd love to shake your hand, and thank you for standing in the gap for children in Chesapeake.
Ms. Dean?
Thank you, Chair Swigert. First, I want to thank everybody for being here tonight and for all the folks that emailed to share your thoughts, your concerns, and your comments on what we're discussing. I, too, also sat in those chairs and came up to that podium to speak on behalf of my children. And so I know that there are times when I spoke and I felt like no one up here was listening, or I asked questions and I felt like I never got answers. So there were a couple things mentioned tonight that I want to make sure that I address, so that at least when you leave here, you can feel like you got some sort of answer out of the questions that you asked. The first thing that was brought up that caught my attention was around safety and security. And I'm sorry to say that is a real thing. That is a real concern. Unfortunately, the world of 2023 is a lot different today than it was 30 years ago. And in my opinion, simply saying nothing has ever happened doesn't mean that nothing won't ever happen, and I'm not willing to risk that. My number one objective on the board is to make sure that we are providing a safe and secure learning environment for all of the children in the community, and that's never going to change. The second comment that was made was around, this is all happening as a result of the Satan Club. So to be clear, earlier this year I requested a review of all of our policies, because I do believe a number of our policies haven't been looked at in several years. While the Satan Club may have impacted the timing of this, it is important that we continue to review and revise our policies to make sure they meet the needs of the community today, in the world that we live in today. The third comment, nobody in the community has offered up spaces. I know that to not be true. And my request back to those that are saying that is, have you reached out to them and asked for help? I know pastors in this community that have offered up their spaces. So to me, that's just a miscommunication issue. Number 4, the wrestling club. So I want to be very clear about this. I am a proud Wildcat. I went to Great Bridge Primary, I went to Great Bridge Intermediate, I went to Great Bridge Middle, I went to Great Bridge High School. I literally bleed green and gold. I've recently moved to the Hickory District, and it was very hard for me to do that. That is how much I am a proud Wildcat. I never thought that we would be at this point to where something like the wrestling club would be at the risk of being removed from our facilities, because in my eyes, I do not view you as a non-exempt club. I mean, look at all of you here today proudly wearing your school colors. That is hard for me to grasp, that you are not school affiliated. Maybe you're not school sponsored, but to not be school affiliated, I strongly struggle with that. I want to be very clear, because of some of the emails I have received, I support our wrestling clubs. I strongly support the Martin family. I firsthand got to witness the impact, Wayne and Steve, you had on kids that I went to school with. I know what you do. I know the commitment you make. And one of the greatest things is how you get
youth in our high schools to turn around and actually mentor and support the kids in the youth program. There are not a lot of clubs out there, school sponsored or not, that do that, that create that. I am in support of the wrestling club. And it is because of that, that today, what I would propose to do is I would like to move to postpone the vote. And my reason,
That motion's out of order. We have a current motion on the table that we're discussing, which we have to vote on first.
okay. So
The motion that you made to approve.
Okay. So the last thing I'll say is that, to be clear, if you've read the policy itself, the policy is very minimal. Everything sits within the regulation, which, as I believe Chair Swigert mentioned, we actually don't vote on regulations. So in my opinion, we need a reclassification of the groups that we have. And so obviously we're gonna vote on the policy itself, but
Yes. I see. Yeah. Oh, sure. In fairness, I absolutely want to make sure that I'm correct in that. Is per Robert's rules, can she make a substitute motion on her own motion? Do we?
There's the gist of it. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Because there can be a substitute motion, but coming from the same individual. Let me check for you.
Thank you. So
We're gonna pause
while
for a
he's
second.
checking, if you want to continue your
Yeah.
remarks.
yep. I mean, the reason for my ask for that is because, again, the definition of the classifications of non-exempt, school-sponsored, and school-affiliated, they don't live in the policy. We don't define it. We reference the regulation. The actual definitions of those groupings live in the regulation. And so how can we vote on a policy change that's referencing a regulation that I don't believe is clear? I believe those definitions of who sits in what classification should be very black and white, and I feel right now it's a little gray. And so my ask would have been for Dr. Cotton, for you and your team to take a look at the regulation and how we're truly defining those groups before we make any changes to a policy that references it. That's my intent. Thank you.
This is approved to continue the conversation until you.
I don't know. I'm watching. I don't think he has the answer.
I think absent a clear indication on whether we can continue discussion on the original motion, I'm just going to make the decision that we will do that until we have clarity from the attorney.
Okay.
So, Mr. Poole?
Okay, so I didn't read a speech, but I really appreciate what Ms. Kim said. I will just say this. I've said it before. You don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. Look, granted, I don't like some things that happen, but you don't get rid of everything because you don't like one thing. If you had a child who was misbehaving, you don't punish all 5 of your children because that one child misbehaved. And secondly, for those who are on the Good News Club, you never shut off the light to dispel the darkness. You can't do it. Without the light, the darkness wins. So that's my comments, and thank you.
Mr. Lamonia?
Thank you, Chair Swigert. I'd first like to start off by thanking you for providing the clarification on this matter in your comments. I want to thank Kim Scott as well for her comments. I agree with them both, so I will not be repeating, hopefully, anything that you both said. There has been a great deal of unnecessary confusion lately surrounding this topic, and it is important, though, and I want to foot stomp this a bit, that everyone understands the vote tonight is very clear-cut, and it's been very clear-cut. It's either continuing to include non-exempt clubs or to exclude them from after-school facility use. That's what we've been voting on the entire time. Despite what you've heard leading up to tonight, including by some members of this board, please know that that is the simple truth. Again, the vote is to continue to include non-exempt clubs in our after-school facility use or to exclude them. I've not wavered on this topic since the initial vote in February when I voted alongside Chair Swigert and Vice Chair Mercer, Kim Scott, and Norman Poole to allow non-exempt clubs after-school use in our facilities. Tonight, I maintain that position with even greater resolve, and if we continue with the current motion on the table, we'll vote against the current proposal that intends to deny all outside organizations from renting space in our facilities. This issue only comes to us again tonight due to one non-exempt organization, an organization that initiated this debate with the sole intent of causing division and trepidation. Despite my condemnation of this club, I ran on a platform that included parents' choice, and would be refuting my own values by picking and choosing when parents' choice is applicable. Additionally, I served our country for 26 years with an oath to uphold our Constitution and protect all of our nation's citizens, and would be abandoning those very principles as well with any decision based on canceling those I disagree with, absent any due process or cause. I personally refuse to give this organization any more attention than has already been garnered, and quite frankly, casting that care to my Almighty God. Our primary focus has been on the enrichment of our entire school system, and it will be a travesty to spend any more time allowing this one group to detract from these efforts. As I mentioned in the previous meeting, reactive governance, which is what's happening here, isn't effective governance, and we need to move forward with thoughtful consideration. If there are unintended consequences that arose for clubs or staff in regulations set to implement the current policy, or guidelines not implemented that would ease respective burdens, the job of this board is to acknowledge those discrepancies and ensure timely updates by the administration to maximize fairness and effectiveness. So in summary, I will not punish the many for the few. Again, I will vote against the current proposal that intends to deny all outside organizations from renting space in our facility.
Mr. McCormick?
First of all, I just want to say thank you to many of you who I spoke with over the last week or two, whether on the phone or via email or on Zoom. It's been great getting to know some of other Chesapeake citizens and neighbors and residents, and so I've really enjoyed the conversations. I want to try to clarify what my position has always been and what the vote was in February. There was a policy proposal in February that would have removed effectively non-exempt clubs. That never reached the floor, and I would have voted against it then, and I'm going to vote against it now. I do not support kicking everyone out. I do not support kicking out all the clubs and organizations. I never did. I never voted on that motion because this is the first time that we voted on that motion. So there continues to be some confusion on that, and I feel like my integrity has been on trial a bit, but I've never voted on a motion like this because we've never voted on one. So I'm going to vote against it now, and I'm going to be very clear where I stand, and that is I do not want to kick out clubs and organizations. Thank you.
Mr. Ballum?
There is a second to the subsidiary motion, and I see no reason why you wouldn't consider the subsidiary motion first. Again, if there is a second and determine whether there's any debate, then vote and then go back to the main motion, depending on the result of the vote on the subsidiary.
So what we are now considering is, as a substitute motion offered by Ms. Dean, the opportunity to direct the administration to consider revisions of the definitions of school-affiliated clubs, if I understand correctly. Is that, not yet, is that a correct assessment of the motion, the substitute motion?
That's correct, to redefine the classifications as a whole, non-exempt, school-affiliated, school-sponsored, that lie within the regulation.
Okay, so the correct Robert's Rules process is for us to deal with the substitute motion, and then depending on the outcome of that, we will either go back to the original motion or this will answer that question. So the first things first, is there a second to the substitute motion? And then there will be discussion if there is. Seeing no, seconded by Mr. Boone. Okay. Hey guys, please maintain the decorum. We're going to have appropriate discussion on this. I'll open that. You know, it is my opinion that we have received good and clear guidance from our attorney on what the definitions are, and that we have very limited scope within broadening this without stepping into very dangerous territory. I think that what we have is clear and sufficient, and I'm willing to go with what we have, and I will vote not to redefine where we are, personally. Mr. Mercer?
I had hoped to, I thought I said enough last meeting, and I appreciate the prayers. I've had a number of wonderful comments from people who agree and disagree with me, and that's what America should be about, and what we've lost in this country is that we can agree without being disagreeable. And as far as you can do that, God bless you. But as Chairman Swigert mentioned, we go down a slippery slope when we start looking at deciding, other than this list, who's on it, who's not on it. We can be accused of being political in some of these decisions. We have received legal advice that says that we ought to stay with what we are, what we have, and not deviate. And I'm going to stay because this thing's been slippery enough, and I don't want to give an opening for anything to be not transparent, and also not to be to look like we're trying to favor one group over another group.
Mr. Lamonia?
Yeah, I agree with those comments. I think what we have suffices. I think the legal advice we have so far defines what we need in the fashion that we need it. So I will vote against this as well.
Ms. Scott?
Yes, I want to say I also agree with Mr. Mercer on that. I think it's a slippery slope we don't need to go down. I also think that Chesapeake families deserve an answer tonight, and I'm strongly opposed to prolonging this any further. I think we need a definitive answer this evening. That's it.
Seeing no additional discussion, Mercer calls the question. All those in favor of directing the administration to consider redefining the definitions of school affiliation, please vote aye. All those opposed? Dr. Smith?
Motion fails with a vote of 2 to 6 with board members, Lamonia, Mercer, Swigert, McCormick, Poole, and Scott voting in opposition.
A defeat of the substitute motion brings the original motion back to the floor. Is there any additional discussion on the original motion? Mercer calls the question. Is there a second? And this, for point of clarification, is to approve the changes that were on the table, which would, in fact, lead us to the policy that would have only exempt organizations. Correct? I don't think we have to approve to bring it back as a primary motion. It just becomes the primary motion with the substitute motion failed. So we're good there. So again, for point of clarification, a vote yes on this changes the policy that we currently have and causes this to have only exempt facility use rental in Chesapeake Public Schools. A vote no would maintain the current policy that we have in place. All opposed, or I'm sorry, all in. Yes, a vote, just to make sure, because I know this is important that everybody understands where we are, just to say one more time. A vote yes changes the current policy so that only exempt organizations may access and rent our facilities, which is a very limited scope of organizations. A vote no maintains our current policy and does not change, and the current list of non-exempt and exempt will continue to function as they are currently doing. All those in favor? That's a yes vote. All opposed?
Motion fails with a vote of 1 to 7 with board members Dean, Lamonia, McCormick, Mercer, Poole, Scott, and Swigert voting in opposition.
Thank you. We will now move on to the superintendent's report. Dr. Cotton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have a couple of announcements. We're excited to welcome over 300 educators new to Chesapeake Public Schools on August 22nd at Indian River High School. I know several of you are going to join me that morning as we extend a warm welcome and hear from famed educator Michael Bonner, and it should be an exciting morning. Hopefully many of you will be able to attend. We're also asking parents to log in to ParentView before September 29th to verify their child's information for the new school year. Through this process, parents and guardians can update their contact information and emergency pickup list, among other things. More information will be provided to parents in the coming days. With that, it's great to be back tonight with my first superintendent spotlight for the 23-24 school year. We're just a few short weeks away from our first day of school, and our students, teachers, administrators, and community partners have been busy this summer preparing for a great start. Part of that great start is ensuring that all of our students are enrolled and ready with completed physicals and required immunizations. To help families prepare, we hosted our annual Get on the Bus event, August 5th, 2023, at Oscar Smith Middle School in conjunction with the Chesapeake Health Department, Chesapeake Thrives, and many other community organizations. The goal of the event was to help families prepare for back to school with enrollment assistance, free school supplies, physicals, immunizations, and more. Thank you to everyone who is on hand to support our families, including our student volunteers. I see our wrestlers here who helped serve pizza and played games with our families, and it's clear everyone is getting ready and excited for their first day of school. We also had several board members who attended as well. At the beginning of this month, all of our district and school-based administrators and many of our teacher leaders were also gearing up for a great year at our two-day Empower 2023 General Conference. The theme was Game On. This event, hosted at Any River High School, included welcoming remarks by our 2024 Teacher of the Year, Rachel Hickey, lots of high-quality professional development breakout sessions, and remarks by keynote educational speaker and innovator John Meehan. After attending the high-energy event, it's clear that our teachers and administrators are ready to get their game on this school year. Another summer project I'm so proud of to highlight this evening is the tremendous success of our second year of Grow Our Own Summer Internship Program. This summer, seniors earned 40 hours of paid internship hours. That's paid. You remember when the rest of us did internships for free. They got paid this summer, working across our district in information technology, communications, school nutrition, transportation, teaching and learning, and many other areas. They received work-based learning course credit as part of the program thanks to our Career and Technical Education Department. We'd also like to sincerely thank NextGen and the Hampton Roads Workforce Council for their financial support of the program this year. Another great financial supporter of our schools this summer has been Dick's House of Sports. As part of their Sports Matter grant program and to celebrate their grand reopening at Battlefield Boulevard, they presented B.M. Williams Primary School with $5,000 and Oscar Smith Middle School with $10,000 to go towards the purchase of new PE and recess equipment. As you can see, there are some very happy teachers when they heard the news. We can't wait to see these grants in action this fall. For the first time this summer, rising sophomores took part in the EVMS Health Sciences Summer Academy program. Our students joined 44 other students from Northampton and Portsmouth Public Schools during the 2-week tuition-free experience. The program is designed to help students explore various career paths in health professions through lectures, workshops, and hands-on activities. We'd like to thank the Beasley Foundation for their financial support of this program. And to wrap up tonight, I'd like to congratulate the Department of Communications on winning several publication and digital media awards from the National School Public Relations Association. We thought our team was good, and now other people think so as well. They earned awards of excellence in many different categories, including special purpose publication, branding, packaging, annual report, handbook, digital media marketing, and video production. We're lucky to have the entire team helping celebrate our stories and communicating with our families. Madam Chair and members of the board, this completes my spotlight for this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Cotton. Last on our agenda this evening is board member items. Does any board member have items to bring before the group? I would like to take this opportunity to wish a very happy birthday to our board clerk Dr. Angie Smith, Chief of Staff, my apologies. She wears so many hats, has so many titles, I cannot underestimate how much she does to serve as the right hand for everybody sitting at this dais. So we appreciate you and hope that you enjoyed a wonderful birthday. With that, I will call this meeting adjourned.